And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because remember, common sense has no political affiliations. What is going on?
It's happy throne speech, everybody. Yay.
Whatever the fuck that
Happy
means.
Sovereignty Day,
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
where
It's
we celebrate our sovereignty by bringing in a foreign monarch to.
this is exactly what I posted this morning. I just posted a reel, and I'm like, I was looking at. Did you just search throne speech? What comes up in the news? Like, what are the
Oh
articles
yeah,
related to it?
yep.
It's all how somehow King Charles is in Canada to stand up to Trump. I'm like, okay, hold on here. So we need a foreign king to declare our sovereignty and to tell Trump that we don't want to be annexed.
Yeah, right. Because nothing says sovereign like having a foreign king come and speak for us.
Am I retarded?
We can't tell Trump. We can't tell him to go fuck
fuck?
himself ourselves. We need to bring a
No.
sovereign king. And he's not going to say anything about. He's not going to say "fuck you, Trump." He's not going to say anything.
And they're friends.
Oh yeah,
like don't give me this shit. Like Trump was literally, he was literally over there just after he got elected to shake some hands, kiss some babies, or whatever. Shake some babies and kiss some hands, whatever. Yeah. Either or. But the point of the matter is that they're all fucking friends, and they try to sell us like, oh, they're at war with each other. Circle story.
Yeah. They hate each other. No, they're all part of the club. They're all part of the club
that we are not part of.
Yeah, but no. Us peasants are not ever. We're never invited to that club.
Of course, fucking Tardo is there. Why?
Trudy.
Did you know that the last time the Queen was here, his father was in power?
That's wild, eh?
But it's a coincidence, bro. Don't worry about it. All a coincidence.
Nick says, "Good morning. So far, the pomp and circumstances gross." Yeah, good morning, Nick. Yeah, I just don't think Canadians care about it for the most part. I don't think. I'm sure you've got a few true loyalists or monarchists out there, but the vast majority of us either don't care at all or actively want less ties with. Nobody sees King Charles as our king. Nor should we, because we are a sovereign nation, and we should not have the leader of the monarch of another nation as our head of state.
Are we though? Are we?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Because technically we're under the Commonwealth, and the leader of the Commonwealth is King Charles.
Oh well, yeah. I mean that's the structure of our government. We're a constitutional monarchy, and that's why him and his mother is on our money. And officially he's the head of state, but that's what I mean. We if we think ourselves a sovereign nation, we need to have our own head of state has to come from in Canada. By the usher of the Black Rob. Bumpy Johnson says King Sausage Fingers here to leave a strong taste of spunk in the mouths of Canadians. Yeah, it's thank you for that visual this early in the morning, Bumpy. We appreciate that. Our foreign king has come to penetrate the MPs with his sausage fingers.
He's come to collect on their what was it, their oath. He wants to make sure they kiss the ring, because remember that was kind of wild for me, because I did not realize that it was the first time I actually looked.
All the oaths are. When I joined the military in 2002, you swear to defend the crown, and you swear loyalty to the British monarchs. It's really weird.
You know what I like? If I'm not mistaken, that guy we're seeing right now in the background with the long hair, the native guy, is the premier of Saskatchewan. No, Manitoba. Either Saskatchewan or Manitoba.
Yeah, that's what Bumpy says. He's speaking.
Oh, there you go. It is
Premier Wab Canoe. That guy's name is Wab Canoe. That's actually badass. I can't hate on that name.
But you know what? What I love is the fact that they've talked shit against Catholics. They've talked shit against the church. They're talked shit against the king. Now they're also kissing the ring. That just tells you that just playing the game, bitches. They're just selling this. They're just selling us the lie that they all hate each other. Yet, fucking Justin Trudeau's still there. Oh, and see, Stephen Harper is right next to Trudeau. They probably are.
I mean,
they're probably holding hands behind closed doors, right?
They're all buddy. It's a chummy club again.
Of course they are.
Justin Trudeau, as a former prime minister, will always be in that club. He'll always have access to these events. They're never gonna like, even in 2016. You had after Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump was saying, "Hey, I don't even hate Hillary. She's fine. She like he."
I saw Donald Trump the other day sitting next to Obama.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Like, it literally looks like they're gonna clink their glasses.
They're laughing with each other. They're poking each other. Yeah, it's all
like,
fucking.
Look at this.
Trudeau
is having a meaningful conversation with Stephen Harper. Like, oh yeah, bro, you're absolutely right. We did convince those Canadians that we didn't like each other. We did a good job, bro.
Oh yeah, they're all besties. They're all big club. Mungo, thank you for that, sir. We appreciate that. Bumpy says,
no, you need to read his comment. Come on.
Oh yes, of course. Mungo says we are not sovereign. United Empire loyalists. I'm not sure the second part. Are you saying you are a loyalist, as in the traditional sense, as in you're a monarchist, or are you saying you are not? Because I read your first part as saying that you're not, and the second part maybe I read that wrong. Just if you could clarify that for us. But I mean,
in some ways,
but hold on. Let me explain what that means. I have the definition here. The United Empire loyalists were American colonists who remained loyal to the British Crown during the American Revolution and ended up migrating to British North America, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They were a diverse group of people, including farmers, laborers, and business people with backgrounds ranging from British to German, Dutch, French, and even former black slaves. Those loyalists sought refuge and a new life in Canada, contributing significantly to its population and cultural landscape. Basically, it's our ancestors. A lot of our ancestors kissed the ring, did not want to become independent Americans, so they did what the loyalists did, and they came up
the
to
loyalists
the
went
north.
to Canada, and that's why we still have these connections. We're still part of the Commonwealth. We never broke the bonds that America did during their War of Independence.
So Moonglow's pretty much bang on that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. It's hard to say we're a sovereign nation when
we're not.
Head of state, official head of state, is the king of another nation. On the other hand, in theory, it's supposed to be ceremonial at this point. Like the actual king of England is not meant to have any actual political power in Canada. The question is, does he? I mean, if he's coming here to give the throne speech, it's hard.
Look at this right here.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to argue that he doesn't have any sway or any power, and that's why I think so many people are against this. Even people who don't care, I think they don't care so long as they stay the fuck out of our business. If they stay over there, stay in England, they want to come over once every couple years to fucking do the little fucking queen wave and the hat tip and shake some babies and kiss some hands. Yeah, whatever. But this isn't that. This is coming over here to read what is essentially our State of the Union speech. I don't know why he is here, and I don't think, except for the sycophants in the media, I don't think anyone actually thinks this is a good idea.
I just saw that. Did you know? We're gonna have to talk about this. I'm adding it to the list. But did you know that Tommy Robinson was released yesterday?
Just released? Yeah, actually, I did see that. Yeah, we should definitely.
We're gonna have to. Oh, because I'm a big fan of what he does. As much as you can hate the guy, love the guy. we're gonna
I'm a-
have to start doing the same thing here. What he's doing in the UK is gonna become something we need to address here.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan too.
Same.
This
I
is
don't know the guy personally. I've never shook his hand. Like, I don't know him.
and
I
to
like
be-
what he stands for on social. What I've seen, I love what
like
he
free
stands
speech
for.
stuff because I don't really know what else he stands for, and so but like when everything I hear about the free speech, the way that he's willing to go to jail, you got to respect that.
I got a cool video of him. The way the caption of the video is from Tommy Robinson, and it says "From a hobo to a hero." He came out with a massive beard, fucked up hair, and he's sitting at the barber getting his nice cut, nice shave.
That's hilarious. Yeah, actually, I did see that, and he's a new man. He must not have shaved at all while he was there.
He pulled an Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
But now here they are again, talking a little bit more about who knows what.
Oh, I love the
And
music. Hold on.
what do
Let
we
me
got?
pop the volume on this.
Yeah, do it.
Roles and capacities in the past.
Bumpy
Whether the
says
governor of the
Canada
Bank of
fought for its
England
freedom.
or other.
It obeyed until it
Interestingly,
sacrificed enough through 2 world
mother
wars
was
to be
not currently
considered an actual sovereign,
operating
still
on
be holding Canada. Yeah, I think that's a good assessment of the situation. Again, I they're not the connection to the crown are supposed to be symbolic. They're not supposed to be actual political power. But that's that argument sort of loses some power when he's coming over here to give the fucking throne speech.
This is such a political statement.
Well, yeah,
Woman,
yeah,
woman.
exactly.
No.
This is.
Did you see the 4 people that were next to the king?
Yeah.
That are top military? Woman, man.
Oh, in the military. That's ridiculous, man. Like
No, but hold on. Let me just play it back. I'll go back live afterwards. Oh, I went too far.
Is
man.
going to be whether it is just this event, having the king here, having him. This particular
Shit.
medal was won for like the United
We'll have to
States.
show it afterwards, but it was literally
You know,
woman,
it needs to be
woman,
more blunt.
woman,
I know there's a
man,
few
and we
sort of
wonder why
reasons
the
for
state of the
the
military is
Prime
so
Minister of the
fucked.
United Kingdom was in the
Yeah,
Oval
that's bad.
Office and kind of
Because you know, as
just
much
sort
as
of,
I come from
full
a
circle
military
defense of
family,
Canada, I think people were
my
counting on it,
mom
got caught up,
has been in the
got
reserve
cut off by
forever.
Donald
She
Trump before he
retired
could
not
go
that
further.
long ago.
But also,
I'm sorry, but my mom was not the one that's gonna fight on the
no,
front,
and-
the front, and she's not the one that's got. I'm better with a gun than she is. Let's be fucking honest here. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, and I'm I don't have an issue with women in the military for sure,
No,
especially in
no.
certain roles like different logistical roles or what have
But
you.
serving on the
Not
front,
not necessarily frontline soldiers, and I don't have a problem with women rising through the ranks. But like when you look at the leadership of the military, and 3 out of 4 are women, something's gone wrong here. Like that. There's no way that's the truth. Like that, a military led by women is not going to be an effective military, and that's not a knock on women. It is just a recognition of the core differences between men and women. Men are aggressive. We are violent. We use violence as a tool that has been built into our DNA. And women are nurturers. They men protect and defend and provide, and women nurture and they grow, and they're the glue that helps everything together. To have 3 or 4 women in the leadership in the military, that's not an effective military. I don't care what you say. I don't care who the women are. It's just period. It is not.
An extraordinary
agree.
moment, and also not something you see very often. Usually,
Oh,
this
here he is.
King Carney or
Well, both of them.
oh
They're,
shit! Did you see? This always makes me laugh. Elizabeth May, did you see her? She's
Why?
wobbling. She's so fat. She's wobbling. Like, this is who represents us. Shouldn't you be rolling instead? Like, no, but she's one of our representative. Like, does that speak to you? Does that speak for you? Like somebody that needs to. She wobbles more than my 7.5 month pregnant wife.
As Bumpy says.
Oh yeah, that's
Elizabeth
possible.
May just drunk.
The porn.
visit.
You know what?
He
Good
did talk
point.
about
I
watching the
apologize. I
debate,
shouldn't
Yeah.
laugh at her
which is
obesity
remarkable,
because she
that
might have an
President of the
alcohol
United States
problem. Yeah,
would
because that's so
watch,
much better, right?
the leaders debate during the election, or whether
That's
it
what
was
See,
Nick
Nick
says.
saying this.
Elizabeth May, is she sober?
he did watch it. I don't know, because he was
Yeah.
Good question.
Wise guy says,
it's
you know, they
hard for me
resemble
in
each other,
advance
and the
of
body
this,
languages of
but,
a son
he
talking
does
to a dad.
like the royal
Uh,
family.
It
You
is
have,
so
the Prime
true.
Minister
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
wise guy.
associating Canada and himself.
You know,
An
maybe
institution,
he's from the
with
same
people
lineage
that
of
the president,
sons as
does admire
Trudeau and
does
Castro.
appreciate, which can only help, right, in dealing with someone like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
that's-
know,
You've
I've
seen
heard
those
that.
pictures, right?
There's some,
Why
yeah,
Buckingham
there's some
would want
funny,
to do
some
that,
interesting.
considering, Trump is,
There's some resemblance, and you know they were good friends, right? Pierre Trudeau, Trudeau's
mother?
father.
Yeah.
And I was going to say his mother spent time over there,
time period, I mean,
but obviously she's not attracted to men with power, so it probably never happened.
Yeah, no woman is.
No.
Of the last
Oh, here we go.
century.
Oh,
They are desperately
here they
seeking new
come.
economic
Man,
progress
that is not
and
good
broad
drill. Holy
predictability,
shit, that looks so
and wanting
bad.
to be,
What do you mean?
removed from the
That's
target
so
list
bad.
There's
Just
like
trade war.
sloppy
Look at
and
this-
lazy.
Whatever
There's
advantage-
nothing
look at the
sharp.
one in the background.
because it's
Look
Nothing
at
sharp
that
about-
thing right there. Do you see my mouse there? You do, right?
Yes, I do. I do see it. Yeah.
Try to see what's behind them. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's just like,
woman.
is this?
What
How
the
is this?
fuck?
Of the items in this speech the king is about to
It's crazy, man.
and
That's
here-
Like, we don't have
ridiculous.
any men in the military anymore. They're
Apparently
all
not.
women.
Apparently, there's no men in the military.
Of MPs,
That's interesting.
And the mace from the House. Of
So why do
Commons
you say it's
went
that
out,
bad?
Down into or
I
outside of
mean,
the
like,
border.
obviously there is in the military, although the military itself is like, I still have friends in it, and there's some serious morale problems. Just the people the guys that I was in, the guys I served with from 20 years ago that are still in, they're just collecting a paycheck, getting time for towards their pensions. They don't care about the military anymore. They don't. The military's lost its warrior culture. The military ethos is gone. What we're seeing here, this is a ceremonial guard, but I think it's very telling that the ceremonial guard is just all women, and the couple men you see
There
are
were
minorities.
4 or 5 out of 6 or 7. There was one dude, 5 or 6 women. Look at what I'm saying. Woman.
Yeah, that's
men.
wild. This is the military, man. As Nick says, their arms are even straight. Yeah, that's one of the number one things. Bends out of the elbows. Press down on the thumbs, they say, as you're marching. Look up, neck's back in the collar. I can still hear all of the drill sergeant commands in my head. Like that was just such terrible drill.
Hold on. Let's just
fulfill the important duties.
Oops.
Those duties. I should at any time fall into error. I pray that the fault may be imputed to me and not to the House of Commons, whose servant I am, and who, through me, the better to enable them to discharge their duty to their king and country, humbly claim all their undoubted rights and privileges, especially that they may have freedom of speech in their debates, access to your Majesty's person at all seasonable times, and that their proceedings may receive from your Majesty the most favorable construction. Qu'il plaise à votre Majesté.
May it please
La
your
Chambre des
Majesty,
communes m'a élu président.
the House of Commons has elected me their Speaker, though I am but little able to fulfill the important duties thus assigned to me.
Si dans l'exécution de ces
If,
devoirs,
in the performance of those duties, I should at any time fall into error, I pray that the fault may be imputed to me and not to the Commons, whose servant I am,
Commons.
and who,
Us?
through me, the better to enable them to discharge their duty to their king and country, humbly claim all their undoubted rights and privileges, especially that they may have freedom of speech in their debates, access to your Majesty's person at all seasonable times, and that their proceedings may receive from your Majesty the most favorable construction.
Moonglow with a super chat.
Mr. Speaker, I
Thank
am
you, sir.
commanded by His Majesty the
Moonglow
King to
says, "We have not
declare
changed
to
much
you
in
that he
250
freely
years.
Hold on,
We're an
complies
Empire
with the
loyalist,
duty and
prefer to be
attachment
ruled,
of the House of
and we're
Commons
against
we
to
can't
His
hear you, man.
Majesty's person
Hold on.
and government,
You can't hear me?
and not doubting that their proceedings will be conducted with wisdom,
It's not you,
temper,
it's the
and
volume.
prudence. He grants and upon all occasions will recognize and allow their constitutional privileges. I am commanded also to assure you that the Commons shall have ready access to His Majesty upon all seasonable occasions, and that their proceedings, as well as your words and actions, will constantly receive from him the most favorable construction. Monsieur le Président, Sa Majesté le Roi me charge de
I
vous
am
dire
commanded
qu'ayant
by
pleine
His
confiance dans le
Majesty King Charles III to declare
So she's just going to repeat herself. I was just saying that because the volume was so high. You can take his comment now if you want.
Moonglow says, we have not changed much in 250 years. The United Empire loyalists prefer to be ruled, and we're against freedom, not sovereign. Yeah, I mean, they obviously saw themselves as British subjects and not free citizens. And obviously, you know, they moved to Canada, and that that legacy is still here today with us, and that's why fucking King Charles is here giving us the speech. And
We just don't admit to it, but we just don't admit to it. At least the loyalists were honest about it. We just don't see it. The main population is not aware that this is even going on. Oh, Jesus. That's going to take a while. Pages are stuck together.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. I actually don't think he's going to make any major
Let's see.
announcements.
It is
Just
with
a
a
dog
deep
and pony
sense of
show.
pride and pleasure that my wife and I join you here today as we witness Canadians coming together in a renewed sense of national pride, unity, and hope. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin
Oh,
and
my fuck's
Anishinaabe
sakes.
Oh,
He
This
starts
land
the fucking
acknowledgement
land
is a
acknowledgement, the
recognition
throne speech.
of shared history as
The
a nation.
throne speech? The
while
fucking British
continuing to
monarchy
deepen
fucking
my
conquered
own
these
understanding.
lands. For
It
fuck's
is my
sakes,
great
man.
hope that in each of your communities and collectively as a country, a path is found toward truth and reconciliation in both word and deed. This is my 20th visit to Canada, spread over the course of more than half a century, and my first as sovereign.
Well, he's sucking
As I've
woke
said
left
before,
ideology D, really.
Every time I come to Canada, a little more of Canada seeps into my bloodstream, and from there, straight to my heart.
Well, get it the fuck out, brother. You don't deserve Canadian
I've always
blood in your
had the
bloodstream.
greatest admiration for Canada's unique identity, which is recognized across the world for bravery and sacrifice in defense of national values and for the diversity and kindness of Canadians. To the First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples, you have welcomed my family and myself to your traditional lands with great warmth and hospitality, for which I am humbly grateful. This year, we mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day and VJ Day. On Juno Beach,
Fuck is VJ
at
Day?
Dieppe, on the Somme, at Beaumont-Hamel, at Ypres, and on Vimy Ridge. At those places and many others, forever
His bloodline
etched
is
into our
Germanic.
memories, Canadians fought and died alongside our closest allies. Aujourd'hui, je vois des élus venant
Today,
d'un bout à l'autre
I
du
see
Canada,
elected members of parliament from all across
Saint-Jean's,
this country,
à Terre-Neuve
from
et
St. John's,
Labrador,
Newfoundland and
to
Labrador,
Victoria,
Victoria in
Colombie-Britannique,
British Columbia,
et d'Arviat
and Arviat
au Nunavut.
in Nunavut.
Je vois des gardiens
I
des
see
droits
the
et libertés
custodians
garantis
of the rights and
par la
freedoms
Charte canadienne.
guaranteed by the Canadian Charter.
En tant que roi, je
As
tiens
king,
à vous remercier
I wish to
de
thank
vous
you
mettre au service
for
de vos
serving your
compatriotes
fellow
d'un
Canadians
bout ou l'autre
from
de ce
all
grand et
across
beau
this
pays.
vast and beautiful country.
You speak for your communities, representing an incredible richness of cultures, languages, and perspectives. We owe it to this generation and those who succeed us to think and act for the greater good of all. While the world faces unprecedented challenges, generating uncertainties across the continents with regards to peace and stability, economics, and climate change, your communities have the skills and determination to bring a wealth of solutions. En encourageant la collaboration,
By encouraging collaboration and holding respectful and constructive debates, you will enable this government to take bold and fair-minded actions for the well-being of all Canadians.
It has been nearly 70 years since the Sovereign first opened Parliament. In the time since, Canada has dramatically changed, repatriating its constitution, achieving full independence, and witnessing immense growth. Canada has embraced its British, French, and Indigenous roots and become a bold, ambitious, innovative country that is bilingual, truly multicultural, and committed to reconciliation. The Crown has for so long been a symbol of unity for Canada. It also represents stability and continuity from the past to the present. As it should, it stands proudly as a symbol of Canada today in all her richness and dynamism. When my dear late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, opened a new Canadian Parliament in 1957, the Second World War remained a fresh, painful memory. The Cold War was intensifying. Freedom and democracy were under threat. Canada was emerging as a growing economic power and a force for peace in the world. In the decades since, history has been punctuated by epoch-making events: the Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the start of the War on Terror. Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. The system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades, is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing. Il nous faut confronter la réalité.
We must confront the reality that since the Second World War, our world has never been as dangerous and unstable.
Like, why are we talking about this? How does that have to do with
Yeah,
anything?
it's entirely fluff. Like, there's nothing here that's remotely necessary. I'm assuming it's just like the beginning fluff to get out of the way. But who knows? Like, I didn't think he was going to make any major announcements, but I thought he would say something of significance.
Yet this moment is also an incredible opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to think big and to act bigger, an opportunity for Canada to embark on the largest transformation of its economy since the Second World War. a confident Canada, which has welcomed new Canadians, including from some of the most tragic global conflict zones, can seize this opportunity by recognizing that all Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away.
Says a foreign king.
And that by staying true to Canadian values, Canada can build new alliances and a new economy that serves all Canadians. The Prime Minister and the President of the United States, for example, have begun defining a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States, rooted in mutual respect and founded on common interests to deliver transformational benefits.
No, that's the old relationship that Carney said was dead.
At
the same time, the government is working to strengthen its relations with reliable trading partners
Like,
and allies.
what the fuck did he just say?
That Canada
Like,
has
true,
what the world needs
Carney was supposed to
and
fight
defends the values
Trump.
Yeah.
that the world
Now he's
respects.
done nothing, stood down, elbows up, and now the king's saying the same thing? What the
Canada
fuck?
is ready to build
What the
a
fuck's going on
Yeah,
here?
it's like the way he described the relationship with America, the United States. That's the old one. But Carney told us that was dead. He assured us that was dead. And
I'm curious to see how the left is gonna spin, how CBC is gonna spin that one, because he didn't say the United States. He said Trump.
Oh, did he?
Which is evolving at
Yeah.
a frantic pace. Canada will chart the path forward. That will be demonstrated as early as June when Canada chairs the G7 summit.
What's
The
Zelensky?
government is guided by its conviction that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year.
Oh yeah,
He's
thank
just-
you,
he's-
Overlord.
He's just
GST
seeing
on
this for the
homes
first time.
at
He's
$1
never
million
heard of any of this.
for first-time home buyers, delivering savings of up to $50,000. And it will lower the GST on homes between
He doesn't even know what
$1
GST
million
is.
and $1.5 million. Le gouvernement assurera la pérennité de programmes
The government will
qui
ensure
permettent déjà aux
the
familles
sustainability of
d'économiser
programs
des
that allow
milliers de
families
dollars
to
par année.
save thousands of dollars each
Notamment
year.
ceux pour les garderies
In
et
particular,
l'assurance médicaments.
the child care and pharmacare
À ces
programs.
progrès s'ajoute l'élargissement du
Additional
régime
progress
canadien
will
de
include the
soins
expansion
dentaires,
of the Canadian
qui
Dental
sera
Care Program,
bientôt accessible
which will
à
soon be
environ
available
8 millions
to
de
approximately
Canadiens
8
et de
million
Canadiennes,
Canadians,
leur permettant d'économiser
thus
plus de
allowing them
$800
to save
par
an
année
average of more than
en moyenne.
$800 a year.
The government's overarching goal, its core mission, is to build the strongest economy in the G7. That starts with creating one
worst right
Canadian
now.
Okay,
economy out of 13.
that's his goal. Okay, well, I mean
But we're
that's
the worst right
Internal
now.
barriers to
That's
trade and
ridiculous
labor
enough. I thought he was
mobility
saying it
cost
was.
Canada as much as $200 billion each year. The government will introduce legislation to remove all remaining federal barriers to internal trade and labor mobility by Canada Day.
He's basically repeating
Les
what
premiers
Carney has been
ministres de
saying, word
plusieurs
for word.
provinces
Yeah.
et
The
territoires
premiers of several
ont déjà
provinces and
pris des
territories
mesures pour éliminer
have
les
already
obstacles
taken steps
au commerce
to
intérieur.
eliminate barriers to
Le
internal
gouvernement
trade.
va s'appuyer sur ces progrès
The
pour créer
government
It's interesting what Wise Guy is saying there, because maybe I'm mistaken. Is he repeating what Carney's been saying, or is Marx Carney repeating
Canada
was
did.
saying what the king wanted him to say. Now he's just sweeping
Well,
in and repeating it.
I don't think this is a smart guy. Kings today, like he's not meant. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Carney is the one who I think is where ideas are coming from. This guy's just a puppet. I don't know why he's here. Like I know there's like for the conspiracy theorists, it's appealing to have this idea of like the British monarchy is this scheming, powerful body, but it's a bunch of doofuses in fucking medals they didn't earn in military uniforms. They don't fucking have. They're figureheads. They don't have any power. They don't have the brain power to have power.
Given the pace of
We'll talk about that after.
the scale of opportunities, speed is of the essence. Through the creation,
Yeah, he's definitely just reading what Carney gave to him.
the time needed to
I'd love someone to ask him what the GST even is.
Canada's world-leading environmental standards and its constitutional obligations to Indigenous peoples. The government will also strike cooperation agreements with every interested province and territory within 6 months to realize its goal of one project, one review. When Canadians come together, Canada builds things that last. Éliminer ces obstacles qui freinent l'économie canadienne.
Eliminating barriers that hold back the Canadian economy will make it possible to usher in a new era of growth, thanks to which Canada will not only overcome the challenge of trade wars, but emerge stronger than ever. That will allow it to become a superpower when it comes to green and conventional energy,
to
build an industrial strategy that will make Canada more competitive on the international stage, while at the same time fighting climate change, to build hundreds of thousands of good careers in the trades, and thus make Canada a science and innovation hub.
Critically, the government will undertake a series of measures to help double the rate of home building while creating an entirely new housing industry, using Canadian technology, Canadian skilled workers, and Canadian lumber. The government will introduce measures to deliver affordable homes by creating Build Canada homes. This mission-driven organization will act to accelerate the development of new affordable housing. It will invest in the growth of the prefabricated and modular housing industry, and it will provide significant financing to affordable home builders.
They definitely had to get the
government will make the housing market work better,
He's like,
including by cutting municipal development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. The government will drive supply up to bring housing costs down.
Oh, really?
To be truly strong, Canada must be secure. To that end, the government will introduce legislation to enhance security at Canada's borders. Law enforcement and intelligence agencies will have new tools to stop the flow of fentanyl and its precursors. The Canada Border Services Agency will be given new powers to examine goods destined for export, to prevent the transport of illegal and stolen products, including cars. Le gouvernement protégera la souveraineté du Canada.
The government will protect the sovereignty of Canada by rebuilding, rearming, and reinvesting in the Canadian Armed Forces. It will spur the expansion of the Canadian defense industry by taking part in the Rearm Europe plan and
des partenaires
will thus
européens
contribute
à
alongside
la
European
sécurité
partners
transatlantique.
to transatlantic
Et il
security.
investira pour
And
renforcer
it
sa
will
présence
invest
dans le Nord,
to strengthen and boost
alors
Canada's
que
presence
cette
in the
région,
north,
qui est partie intégrante
because this
de la
region,
nation
which is an
canadienne,
integral part of the
fait
Canadian
face
nation,
à de nouvelles
is now
menaces.
facing new threats.
The government will discharge its duty to protect Canadians and their sovereign rights from wherever challenges may come at home or abroad. To keep communities safe, the government will hire 1,000 more RCM Peace personnel. It will change firearms
Maybe those are
licensing
RCMP stands for.
and strengthen enforcement of yellow and red flag laws.
Yellow and
Weapons
red flag
licenses
laws?
for those convicted of intimate partner violence and those subject to protection orders will be revoked.
Already is, asshole.
Through the deployment of scanners, drones, and helicopters, additional personnel, and canine teams, the government will stem the tide of illegal guns and drugs across the border. It will take these steps while protecting the rights of law-abiding gun owners and Indigenous peoples' long-standing hunting traditions.
Sure, cool story, bro.
The government will bring a renewed focus on car theft and home invasions by toughening the criminal code to make bail harder to get for repeat offenders charged with committing these crimes, along with human trafficking
Because
and
you
drug
know that
smuggling.
criminals respect the law, right?
Yeah.
During this time of great change,
Like the Liberal Party
Canadians
is
are uniting
one's
behind
responsible for
what
loosening
makes Canada unique.
criminal code restrictions and making bail
La
easier.
langue
Why would we
française
think everything
et la
he's saying
culture
is like
québécoise
it's
The
like they're
French
treating
language
sont au cœur
and
de
Quebec
previous Liberal
culture
government
are
canadienne.
at the very center of Canadian
former
identity.
when
Le
it's just
pays
They
them.
define the
Canadiens,
country
les Canadiennes et moi
that all
aimons
Canadians and myself
Le
hold
Canada
so
est
dear.
un pays où l'on
Canada is a
respecte et
country
célèbre
that
les langues
respects and
officielles
celebrates
et les
its
langues
official
autochtones.
languages and indigenous languages.
Le gouvernement est déterminé à
The
protéger
government is resolute in its
institutions
determination
qui
to
font
protect
rayonner
those
ces
institutions
cultures et cette
that highlight
identité
and promote
dans
that
le monde
identity
entier,
around the world,
comme CBC
such as
Radio-Canada.
CBC Radio-Canada,
Protéger ceux qui
to
nous donnent
protect
accès
those who give
à
us
des aliments
access
frais,
to
sains
fresh,
et de qualité,
healthy, and
les
high-quality
producteurs
food,
agricoles,
our farm
et
farm
protéger
producers,
la gestion
and to
de l'offre.
protect supply management.
Nature is core to Canada's identity. In 2022, Canada convened COP15 in Montreal, which concluded with 196 countries striking a historic agreement to protect 30% of their lands and 30% of waters by 2030. To this
2030
end,
agenda.
the government will protect more of Canada's nature than ever before
Oh, here's
through
the
the
climate.
creation of new national parks, national urban parks, marine protected areas, and other conservation initiatives. The government will always protect the rights and freedoms that the Charter guarantees for every Canadian. The government will be a reliable partner
does,
to
Robin, but,
Indigenous
like,
peoples,
It was
upholding
the
its
Liberal government
fundamental
who
commitment
you
to
know,
advancing reconciliation.
did so bad on those exact issues.
Central to
Like
this
they're speaking
commitment
against himself in
is the
this
creation
speech.
of long-term wealth and prosperity with Indigenous peoples. For that reason, the government will double the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program from $5 billion to $10 billion, enabling more Indigenous communities to become owners of major projects. As Canada moves forward with nation-building projects, the government will always be firmly guided by the principle of free, prior, and informed consent.
Informed
Canada's
consent,
immigration
really?
system has long been a source of pride for Canadians and of dynamism for the economy. The government is dedicated to rebuilding the trust of Canadians in immigration by restoring balance to the system. Le gouvernement instaurera une limite sur le
The
nombre
government
de
will
travailleurs
set a
étrangers
limit
temporaires
on the number of
d'étudiants
temporary foreign
internationaux,
workers and international
établissant
students,
un plafond qui,
establishing
à
a
partir
cap,
de
which,
2027,
starting in
sera en
2027,
deçà de 5%
Why not
will
now?
be
de la
below
population
5%
canadienne.
of
Oh,
Canada's
again with this
population.
shit.
Simultanément,
At the same time,
il attirera les
it
meilleurs
will
talents
attract the
dans le
best
monde
talent
pour
in the
bâtir
world
l'économie.
to build the economy.
Et il fera
And
savoir aux
it will
Canadiens
make it
et
known
aux
to
Canadiennes
Canadians working
qui
abroad
travaillent à l'étranger que s'ils
that
songent
if
à
they are
revenir
thinking
au
of
pays,
coming back home,
il n'y a pas de moment plus
there is
propice
no
pour le
better
faire.
time than now.
Dans toutes ses actions, le gouvernement
In all its
sera guidé
actions,
par une
the
nouvelle
government
discipline
will be
fiscale.
guided by a new fiscal
Dépenser
discipline,
moins pour que les
spending less
Canadiens puissent
so that
investir
Canadians
plus.
can invest more.
He knows this is a
Day-to-day
liberal
economic
government,
spending,
right?
The government's operating budget has been growing by 9% every year. The government will introduce measures to bring it below 2%. Transfers to provinces, territories, or individuals will be maintained. The government will balance its operating budget over the next 3 years by cutting waste, capping the public service, ending duplication, and deploying technology to improve public sector productivity. In parallel, the government will take a series of measures to catalyze new investment, to create better jobs and higher incomes for Canadians. The scale of the government's initiative will match
think
the
5
challenges of our time.
For me, I think 2-year pause.
And the ambitions
but
of
I agree.
Canadians.
I think that's what we should do right now. 5 seems a bit
Honourable
long, but
Senators, members of the
Stop
House
it.
of Commons,
Just stop
when my
immigration
dear late
until we
mother addressed
reassess.
your predecessors 7 decades ago, she said that in that age and against the backdrop of international affairs,
yeah, they are, Rob, for sure.
no
they are.
nation could live unto
Yep.
itself.
They're making it
It
sound
is a
like
source of great
5%
pride that
is not
in the
allowed, but
following
5% of
decades,
40 million,
Canada has
2 million
continued
immigrants a year.
to set an example
no
to the
change.
world
I think that's more than
in
what
her
they're letting in
conduct
right
and
now.
values as a force for good. À vous et à l'ensemble du peuple
To
canadien.
you and to all
mon
the people
épouse
of
et
Canada,
moi-même adressons
my wife
nos
and I
sincères
wish to
remerciements
extend our sincere
cette
thanks
I missed that. Did he say he was going to have there was going
for
to be a
this
balanced budget in
warmest
3
of
years?
welcomes.
Did I miss? I missed that.
reminds us
Just go by
True
Nick's
North
comment there.
is indeed strong and free.
Oh, wow.
Got to have a budget first so you can balance it.
How dare you, Rob? How dare you?
Yeah.
Members of the House of Commons, you will be asked to appropriate the funds to carry out the services and expenditures authorized by Parliament. May you honor the profound trust bestowed upon you by Canadians. And may God bless and guide you in all
Oh,
your
yeah.
duties.
God, really, Brett?
Yeah, I think that was it. Sasquatch, I think these monarchs, they get every single medal that is awarded to like their nation. Like, so he would have like the Afghanistan medal, the Korean War, the whatever British soldiers were at, and probably Canadian too. He would get a medal for that. It's like North Korea. I don't know if you ever seen the North Korean generals medals all over their body. They didn't earn.
It's all deserved. Okay, stop.
Yeah, that's funny because I mean, appropriate is the correct use of the word. It's like in the U.S. they have the appropriations committee to discussing things, but that's funny because that is the actual definition of the term.
No, but hold on. Appropriate, suitable, or proper in the circumstance. A measure appropriate to a wartime economy. Take something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission.
Yeah, that's the actual definition. It's hilarious.
And he's not stupid. Like,
but the way he used the word, that's the way it actually is used in the U.S. Congress. They'll talk about appropriations.
Just so you know, he ain't American.
What's that?
He ain't American.
Well, no. But yeah, in the context,
they pride themselves on proper diction and vocabulary. So I don't underestimate him. He used appropriate with intent. He knows we're the average Canadian's too dumb to realize what it means.
Speaker of the House of Commons, with the instructions from the King that they carry out their duties now to the Canadian people.
Squirrel nuts. Just for now, just for this speech.
That rousing applause you heard at the end there.
Tradition. Now that we're back in the real world. We go back to the current gods.
Read, as the anthem reminds us, the true North is indeed strong and free. And while those words would have been written by the Prime Minister's office, they were read by the King. And they would have been approved by the palace, and he would have felt comfortable saying them. It is not the only,
he just repeated what he was told, right? He just read what he was given.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, but they had to admit to that. Like, they said it. It's not a conspiracy at this point, right?
Well, I mean, is it like? I don't know. I feel like that's what I thought it was. I think he was basically reading the speech Carney would have given. Carney just invited him and said, "Hey, come here and read my speech that was written for me."
You know what I like even more than what I like even more is the fact that Carney's always wearing his pin, right?
That
and
thing on his.
I think no, but he always has it on his chest. Yes, the Order of Canada.
Canada, yeah.
But he always has, instead of having a flag, he has that pin on his suit every day. Now he has it independent, but it has to be smaller than the King, right? It's just a bit smaller if you look.
Yeah,
because of course those twats deserved it, right?
And then a paragraph.
Yeah, he looks with a little fucking participation medal there.
Shared sacrifice, marking the 80th anniversary of VE Day and VJ Day.
What is VJ Day? It's like Vagina Day?
Sounds like my kind of day, though. Right after Titty Week.
So VJ Day, or Victory over Japan Day, commemorates the official surrender of Japan to the Allied powers on August 15th, 1945. So it definitely does not sound that cool.
No, it doesn't sound nearly as fun.
Yeah, I like Vagina Day better.
Yeah,
sounds way cooler.
That's my kind of day. Sasquatch says, "Thanks, Rob. As an American, strange seeing a king wearing medals while wearing a suit." Yeah, it's this with monarchs. They get all the medals that are the people that whether they earn them or not. Now, to be fair, his son there, Harry, he actually served in Afghanistan. He was a pilot.
Both of them served. Both the son.
And I know Harry actually went into combat and he flew. So I have respect for that. But yeah,
the best part is her. Look at her right there behind that girl. A fat white girl in a suit with a bunch of fucking medals.
Sure, what a ridiculous.
You deserve it.
What a ridiculous day. Come on.
You know that she didn't go in a helicopter. because they would have tipped, but she didn't go into combat, right? Like, come on, don't give me this.
She could
shit.
go in, but they had to put her like exactly in the center.
In the middle.
She could not be.
She
could
was
not be
cargo,
anywhere
bro.
else.
She was
Center of
cargo
mass.
underneath it. She was like transported with ropes at the bottom.
Yeah, fucking. She trips and the whole fucking helicopter crashes.
I know, but
It's yeah. Canada's not a serious country, man. This is
I love the music though, bro. Like so
Orienting
pleasant.
of the priorities of federal spending.
is it like bagpipes and stuff?
To do on developing
You not
new
hear it?
industrial policy, on building up the
Oh, there it
military,
is.
on building
Oh, it's
housing
a fiddle.
at a
It's a fiddle.
scale that's historic. That is all enormous.
That is some very
It's-
traditional
and in
Canadian
5
music.
days, he's going to be in Saskatoon with the premiers.
Well,
We're gonna have a list of
So I mean, I'm from the East Coast, and in Nova Scotia, was where I grew up. The fiddle definitely is a big part of the culture there. But yeah, I don't know that it fits with if you're talking about
Look at her.
Parliament for all of Canada. I don't know that the fiddle is a typical Canadian instrument.
Like, who's this girl? So this is obviously Carney's husband. I mean, wife.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait, you mean Charles's?
No, over there, like right there in the back. That's
Jesus,
Carney's
that is
wife.
Yikes.
I guess that millions of dollars doesn't necessarily buy.
No. Well, it's apparently power isn't sexy. Like I'm looking at like King Charles. I'm like, holy God! Like, imagine this man in bed. Like, I know that like power is sexy.
Marvelous.
Power is yeah. No, but he must like power is sexy to women. But I'm sure that guy really tests that theory
Okay, and these are all
because
MPs,
come
so
on,
cabinet
man.
ministers,
There isn't a
just
fucking
as, thrilled as
that
anyone
that
would
shit
be to
clamps
chance
everything
to
shut
shake
real
hands
fast. I'm
and have a
sure.
few words with him.
Although that woman would disagree with you, man. She seems to be
Camilla.
turned on right here.
Camilla, yeah,
That's Kamala.
Yeah, that's Camilla. That was his mistress when he was married to Diana.
Her?
And then, yeah, oh yeah. There's some tea going on here. There's a lot of tea.
She's happy to teabag.
Oh, she's
yeah,
happy for that. And the queen was never going to accept her because she was a mistress, but then she did, and it was the big story. And after Charles, after they took care of business in the tunnel that day.
Oh, that was just an accident, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
You
Probably
know
have the
what?
fucking SWAT team kicking down my door here in a few minutes.
Detective Gaines is right, though. If you want it to be Canadian, might as well play some Nickelback or something. I'm sure they can use the money.
Yeah, it's funny because it would up the class level. It would up the quality of the ceremony if they did that. And that's saying something because Nickelback. I saw a documentary on them on Netflix. It was like the band you love to hate. Everybody hates Nickelback.
Yet most of us all know their songs because they play
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
radio
But
so
that's
much,
what the guy
right?
but he was saying. He was like, yeah, I guess I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to believe that when we sold like 300 million records or whatever.
What?
It was not quite that many, but it's a lot. They've definitely sold a lot. Detective Gain says the King of England is also head of the Anglican Church. He read Carney's speech for sure. Could tell the king didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. No, he doesn't know anything what he's talking about.
Bro, 50 million's album sold
For
with-
Nickelback.
Yes, with more than 10 billion streams.
That's
Hold on.
that's,
So with hold on. Let me read this. With over 10 billion streamed, 50 million albums sold worldwide, and 12 consecutive sold-out tour, it is no question that Nickelback is one of the most prolific rock act of all time.
I mean, Nickelback is like Arby's, right? Like, some people, lots of people must like Arby's
Taco Bell.
because it's
Taco
still in
Bell.
business. But I never met anybody. I've never met anyone who admits to liking Arby's. But someone obviously does. But
I would
yeah.
compare them to Taco Bell. Everybody's had a taste, but we all ended up in the bathroom.
Exactly. Exactly right.
We all tried it at least once, and then
The Sasquatch. I hope America walks away from the Ukraine war, let the world figure it out. Yeah, I mean that's it just seemed to me like a quagmire. I don't see American interests being served there anymore, at least. I think it's in their interest to get to negotiate peace. Trump had an interesting conversation with Russia we might talk about later.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hold on, I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you know who that guy is? The
Which
guy in the
one?
back with those massive glasses right there.
With the gray hair and the...
No, he's right. I'm just gonna pause the stream when we see his face. That guy there.
Oh.
That guy with the massive glasses. I've seen him so many times. I know
Let me
we
see.
have smart listeners. Do you guys know who this guy is? Like this guy right there.
He definitely looks familiar, but I wonder if he just looks like one of those guys that looks like...
He's just
looks
another
familiar.
white guy with big glasses.
Yeah, it just looks like...
You're gonna tell me, oh, it's just Drew, whatever the fuck his name is.
Drew Carey? Kind of looks like him. Hey,
Hold on, let's search by image.
Sasquatch says, "Do you see Macron wife slapping him? Just two dudes horsing around. Boys will be boys." Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. And it's funny because they're doing big time damage control. Hasn't been a good few weeks for Macron. There was the cocaine thing. There was now his wife is slapping him around. A couple of dudes horsing around. I don't necessarily believe all, like, I to me it just seems like so much, and anyone the right doesn't like, they're like, oh, she's a man, and I don't necessarily believe all that, but that one, the Bridget Macron, that one, if there's any that's true, it's definitely that one. And then probably
if there's one that's true, it's
you're gonna say Big Mike.
Of course. This is who I think is a dude. That, to me, there's no questions about it. You saw the floppy
I admit, I've
dress.
seen some things. I've seen some
And
things.
him admitting that he's a black dude.
I've seen some things that have me.
I did not want to see.
For sure.
But that's the thing, right? The funniest part is that let's assume that he's a dude. We know who's the boss between him and Obama. So Obama's bottom. You know that.
If he was a dude, yes, Obama's the.
Did you see the musculature on Big Mike? Like Big Mike got some arms and shoulders going. Like,
that is not something we have ever seen or heard before.
That's funny. They
like King Charles or any
I've been hearing some things lately. Apparently they're getting divorced or whatnot. Which
but he keeps on saying that it's not true. Big Mike, I mean.
Oh, okay.
I'm never gonna drop that one.
he keeps saying it's not true. Who, Barack? No.
Yeah, I think we're done for
I
the
think
stream's
the glad hand, the shaking babies and the kissing hands. On that note,
That's
guys, remember
one.
to like that.
You do the
smash
speech,
button.
I come back.
All right, wise guy says no other Canadian prime minister has ever been this close to the Queen or Prince Philip. He hasn't bowed, as far as I could see. All the others did. Yeah, I mean, you can clearly tell Carney thinks he's royalty, right? He thinks he's if not in title, at least in prestige. He genuinely believes he's up there. And you can see it even in something we're going to play here. We're going to talk in a few minutes, one of our sort of just mini secondary stories. If you saw that the hand dismissal he gave to Melanie Joly in Parliament yesterday, it was pretty funny. The bad Felicia, but yeah, you can just tell it in his body language and everything that he says and does. He thinks he's right up there with King Charles and the monarchy. And I mean, I don't have any respect for the monarchy. I think that's a relic of a bygone era. I don't value it. I don't think it's impressive. I'm not impressed by it. So I don't think when I say King Charles thinks he's up there, that's not out of any respect for Carney thinks he's up there with King Charles. It's not out of any respect for King Charles. It's more just out of recognition of the arrogance of I think Mark Carney.
Yeah, but at the same time, I made a compilation of a few videos that I found because I saw that the shoe, shoo bitch, shoo.
Yeah.
But then
to be fair though, I mean, it shows his arrogance, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. I want to do that to her too.
No, but he didn't even look at her.
No, that's
like if he heard the voice, he's like, bitch, please.
And she went away. She went away smiling.
Yeah,
like
he
rules with an iron. He rules with an iron fist.
Hold on, you know what? Since we're talking about it, let me bring it up because I did kind of a compilation
Okay.
I went back and, because we've been talking about this so much, like my memory, I've saved all those videos.
Yes.
I put
at
a
some
couple
point,
of
at some
them.
point, we'll get back and talk to the speech. But yeah, since we're on the segue, throw it on there.
It's just that it shows the type of person.
Barry, you missed nothing.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
we're gonna do a recap in a
missed
bit.
nothing.
But you missed nothing.
You missed absolutely nothing. Actually, you probably just.
It didn't even give us a lot of fun jokes
Nothing.
to do, like with the
No.
the debate that we covered, right? We were just laughing the whole time because we were just making cracks here and there.
No.
Dude is just so boring, man. You can't even make fun of him. He's so boring.
Oops, wrong. What is that? Oh, British Royal. Nope. I'm sharing. Man, I'm so happy I don't keep up
It's funny.
weird fucking pictures on my back.
Your Google search. Where can I find a Bukkake video?
I don't need to ask, bro.
Brother, I got memberships at all the big.
I know where
top
to get
five
that from. So this morning I saw the first video in this, and then I went back to a few interviews and I kind of put a few of them together.
Yeah.
It shows you the arrogance. Like this guy is an arrogant fuck. So check this out. It starts with the Jolie dismissal. Like he doesn't even look at her. And then it shows some of my favorites. Like,
which is it's kind of a boss move, man. But it does show his arrogance for sure.
No, he's just an asshole. He's just a narcissistic asshole.
Yeah. Oh,
but he chose her to be the Minister of Industry. Like it wasn't forced on him, right? As much as I cannot stand the way she sounds, I get it. But
yeah, Sasquatch says, have you ever heard Melanie Joe? I was rooting for Coney.
What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance.
There's no possible conflict.
What is it? Confiance?
Hold on.
It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
I just want to figure out where you are because I didn't hear yes or no there. We did hear yes or no from Gregor Robertson, though. He said no. So where do you stand on that?
Well, it's not first off, it's not a yes/no question. It's not a yes/no question.
It was for him, though.
Well, I'm answering the questions right now.
Hey, come on.
It just shows the arrogance that he has. Like he doesn't care. Like he didn't even look at her. He heard a voice and is like, bitch, please. Yeah. That is such a royal move, right? Like, he just fluffed her off. Like,
I mean, we're making fun of it, but it genuinely shows where he feels his station in life is. He feels like he is better than everyone else, and that's clear. That's just clear by his body language, everything that he does, and a certain amount of that. I don't mind that in a leader. I think that's a good thing to have in a leader, but I think it's too much because he doesn't have
a good thing.
Well, to be decisive and not put up with shit, to just feel like you know what you're doing. But if it's too much, and I think Kearney, it's too much. It's a problem because it shows he's not going to listen to anybody. He's not going to take any advice. He's not going to, like, I don't necessarily want a leader who just accepts every piece of advice everyone gets him, doesn't have any backbone, doesn't have his own ability to sort of put his foot down. But Kearney is obviously way too far up on that scale, and it shows how his self-importance. Obviously, there's confidence, and then there's arrogance, and he's definitely into that he's crossed that level on the spectrum. I think.
I don't see. There's no connection between being arrogant and an asshole and being a leader, because he's not a good leader. Like, he can claim to be a leader. He has led things like the Bank of England, the Bank of Canada. So he has been a leader before. That doesn't make him a good leader. And dismissing people like that without even looking at them just shows the type of narcissistic asshole.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's like not worth. This was not relevant. And he did this live on CPAC in Parliament. Imagine what he does behind closed doors. If he doesn't give a fuck to do that when he knows there's cameras on him, imagine what he does when there's no cameras around or he's alone with somebody. That just shows the type of acceptable behavior. Is that really who you want leading a country? No. Absolutely not. Because that type of behavior, do that type of behavior to the wrong guy, guess what's gonna, like, you look at, love or hate Vladimir Putin. That dude is a badass. Like, that
Okay,
dude
but
was a
Putin would absolutely do that too, though. You don't think
No,
Putin would dismiss underlings with a wave of his hand? Of course he would.
I don't. He doesn't do that in front of camera. Have you show me the videos? I can right now show you videos. At least over the past month, I found 4 right there, and there's a lot more. Those are just.
I'm not
that
denying it with Carney. He is.
But my point is that you cannot treat people like that and expect to receive respect from them. That's my point. That's not a good leader. And I'm not saying that Poliev would have been better. I'm not saying that anybody else would have been better. But it just goes to show the type of people that are in politics. Like, when I say that most politicians are narcissists,
well,
that kind of proves the point, right? I don't need to, like, just the way. Can you imagine how? Have you ever been dismissed like that? I'd fucking break your hand. If you talk to me like this in real life, bro, your wrist ain't gonna fucking work the same ever again. Like, this is so disrespectful. So fucking disrespectful. And its own minister. It's not like a little aide that's fucking annoying. Oh, did you say 2 creams or 2 milk and your sugar and your coffee? No, that's not what we're saying. We're talking in Parliament, your minister of industry. We're supposed to respect her. And you're like, bitch, please. I wish the camera was on the other side. We could have seen if he said something at the same time.
Yeah. And I think, it's definitely, again, it's rude and it's arrogant. No, if you ever, as Sasquatch, I'm with Sasquatch. Have you ever heard Melanie Jolie speak? I was rooting for Carney in that.
Unfortunately, yes, but he chose her.
Yeah.
It's like marrying a really dumb girl because she's hot. And then when she's 40 and if she lets herself go, you're like, yeah, well, bro, you chose her.
Yeah.
You chose her. And unfortunately for her, we have to admit that she's better looking than the average minister. And that probably plays a role for her. Like, let's not lie to each other here that she was elected. She was chosen for her smarts, because definitely not. I think we can all agree to that, right? Melanie Jolie
is chosen for her soothing voice and uplifting character. Clearly,
I'm sure that she stands by the elbows up.
But yes, Prairie says, was it that bad? It doesn't surprise me. Therese says,
it's not that it was that bad. It's just, have you ever heard a British guy talk for 30 minutes?
Yeah, I guess we'll brief this. I didn't really hear anything of any import. No. I thought he basically just read what was handed to him. He didn't even know most of the stuff he's talking about. I know there's a conspiracy theory angle to this, and I know it's almost irresistible because it's the British monarchy. I just don't see, like, in my opinion, even if I were to agree and accept like all the conspiracy theories, like powerful elites behind the scenes pulling the strings, it isn't the monarchies of today doing that. It's the people behind the monarchies that are using these monarchies as figureheads, using their historical power to pull strings. Look at that. That guy was a fucking goober, man. He doesn't know what to do except if he's not told exactly. He doesn't know how to get dressed if he's not getting dressed by his minions. I do not see him as some giant mastermind. Power's always been where the wealth is, and the wealth used to be with these monarchs. Wealth is not with them anymore. They're still rich, of course. They're like old legacy families that have billions.
They're worth like $70 billion.
But yeah, but that's not. If we're talking the real power of the world, that's not that. That ain't it.
Of course they are. Bro, you don't carry $70 billion as a royal family and not have the brains behind it. Like, there's no fucking way. I think you're underestimating how intelligent those guys are. They're not stupid. They might play stupid, but did you notice, like, this is something that most cannot do. I'm not capable of doing this, although I practice it every day. He read a 30-minute speech and I didn't pick up one single mistake in his speech, like reading from a. No, but do you understand the amount of
that is one of the few things that they get trained on.
No, but it doesn't matter how good you're trained. Look at Donald Trump. He's been giving speeches his whole life. Is he pleasant to listen to? He's no Obama orator, right? Let's be honest here. As much as I dislike Obama, he was a great fucking orator. But this dude did not make a mistake. I did not catch one single mistake in 30 minutes ish, however the fuck long that speech was. But this ain't easy. Those guys are not stupid at all. At all. They're very smart, and they carry, bro, like $70 billion. I think it was between 65 to 70 billions, depending. They range it between 25 to 65 because they're not sure about the exact worth because it's still private money. It could be more. They have no clue. It's like saying how much is the Vatican actually worth. There's not really any way to know. But those guys are far from fucking stupid. I don't know how intelligent he is compared to his mother.
I think they're inbred and stupid. I think the people that are actually powerful pulling the strings just use those people as figureheads.
So basically, do you think Carney's smart or not?
I think Carney's very smart. I think he's the type of person that is behind
why would he praise a guy like him?
What's that?
Why was it ever relevant for him to be there then if Carney's smarter than him?
Well, because it's just stupid politics. It's stupid signaling and all the other nonsense. I don't like, he was just given a speech. Charles never saw that speech before he read it. He doesn't know what he wouldn't be able to explain it. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't do anything. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's a sort of conspiracy angle here behind this? Or do you think it's just stupid, dumb, virtue signaling politics, which is kind of what I think?
Well, there's no, it's not a conspiracy theory to say that we're still under the King of England. We're still underneath him. And so I just want to make sure I understand you. You think that the speech he was given was basically done by Carney, and
I think Carney would have done that speech if
no, but that's not what I'm asking. The question. What I'm trying to clarify with you is, you believe that speech was done by Carney, and King Charles just repeated it.
Yes, I think Charles had zero input in the speech whatsoever.
See, I think it's a complete opposite. I think that this comes from King Charles. This comes from Mark Carney, King Charles, and whoever else is aligned with this. Like,
why would King Charles care about fucking tax cuts that save $800? Nothing there was any British, or there wasn't even any WEF talking points in there. It was all just the stuff Carney said.
What? He talked about the Agenda 2030 right in the middle of the speech.
What was the context there?
Just, bro, I even commented on it. He literally referred to how...
I feel like conspiracy theorists get caught up in just, like, maybe he was just talking
about
the year 2030.
It's not
it is a year that will exist in 5 years. We will live there.
But it is not a conspiracy theory to say Agenda 2030.
What is the conspiracy theory then with the 2030 thing?
I'll bring it up for you.
Okay.
You've never heard of the 2030 agenda? It's either the WEF
I've heard of it.
or the WHO that actually is pushing this. Hold on, I just want to make sure before.
Yep.
Is basically sustainable development is one of them. But that is not the one. It's the UN. I believe that is the UN. I just want to make sure before I say, because it's either the UN, the WHO, or the WEF that actually talks about pushing 2030 agenda, and it is something that is pushed through climate change. That's why, to me, that is why to have Carney always speak about how climate change needs to be in the middle of every single financial decision. His book is basically, again, I was still reading it today. He tries to bring that back to everything. Even in his book, he does the same thing. And basically, it's called the Sustainable Development. And it is by the UN. It's the UN that actually put it in place in 2015. It outlines a framework of 17 sustainable development goals to achieve peace and prosperity for people and the planet by 2030. So that's basically, you have a framework by the United Nations that is telling us that this is what we should do in order to bring in sustainability. So we have basically we're giving a one world government power to the UN. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, I sent it to you. I just need to be careful the way we approach it so that it doesn't get us in trouble. But those things are all connected, if you ask me. We're talking about, the problem here is, like, forget the conspiracy theory, like the conspiracy theories behind it. but we're basically agreeing to have a centralized world power that is unelected telling us what we need to do. That's the problematic that I see with that.
I mean, I would have a problem with that too. If that's, you know.
But that's what the United Nations are. We didn't elect the United Nations. I didn't vote for them. Did you?
We created it after World War II.
But that's my point. But they're not elected officials. Like let's assume that we believe in the democracy of Canada, that countries like Canada and the US are actually democratic countries. Like, let's assume this. I didn't vote for the UN. I didn't vote for the people of the WEF. I didn't vote for the WHO.
I don't think the UN should have any power in individual countries.
But clearly they do, because we agreed to follow that agenda. We are one of the countries that agreed to do it because we're part of the UN. In the same way as, did you see, I sent it to you earlier. I'm just going to bring up the link here. But did you see that over last weekend, the WHO released their pandemic treaty? What their plans would be for in case of another emergency. And I use this term as in, I'm trying not to get banned on YouTube. But did you see that we adopted it, that Canada was there, and zero complaints? No country that was there actually disagreed with it, voiced any type of opinion, and Parliament is closed. Like, Parliament was closed. This was not fucking voted in. But basically, the WHO pandemic treaty was adopted. What does it mean to Canada? And again, Epoch Times made a great fucking write-up. Almost every single paragraph is worth it. So it's saying that following the 3 years of negotiation, the WHO has formally adopted a legally binding agreement aiming to improve member countries' pandemic preparedness and response. The pandemic agreement requires Canada to carry out actions like straightening diseases surveillance, improving its healthcare system and supply chain for pandemic-related health products, and ensuring drug manufacturers set aside vaccines and therapeutic for developing countries. The treaty does not give the WHO the power to direct Canada to carry out measures like travel bans, lockdown, or vaccine mandates. The agreement also allows for Canada to back out of it 2 years after it officially comes into force. But the point in the matter is that the treaty was adopted on May 20th with 124 countries voting in favor, including Canada. No countries formally objected to the pandemic treaty, but 11 countries abstained from voting. Some of the countries that abstained, surprisingly, is the US. So the point in the matter is that, again, so we have something like Agenda 2030 that is developed by the UN that we agreed to. We have a treaty that was done on May 20th, that was released on May 20th, that was adopted by the WHO, and Canada agreed to it while our parliament is closed. We didn't get a say in this. The WHO is not an elected organization. This is directed by guys that you and I both like, no matter if you believe in the conspiracy theories or not. And our prime minister was on the board of the WEF. So right there's 3 fucking world organizations that are developed by non-elected officials that literally want to put a one world government in place. And we fall under every single one of them. And now today we had a foreign king telling us exactly what Mark Carney has been saying, basically word for word. There's no difference between the speech that he gave and the one that Carney's been spewing for the past month and a half, right? Well, sorry, not month and a half, since he's been elected, like 3 weeks. There's no difference. So wherever the fuck it comes from, it doesn't come from Canada. That's for them fucking sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've always sort of pushed back again on the conspiracy theorists is this idea that people with power are always going to like put little Easter eggs for people to find. Like, if they're really going to do these things, they're not going to put little funny clues in speeches or little clues in Disney movies. They're just going to fucking do it, and they're going to try to hide it. They're not just. Why would they do this?
Why would they hide it? But why would they hide it? They don't need to. We're too fucking stupid.
Well, and
we literally Canadians just elected a guy that went for change, representing the same party that's been destroying our economy for 10 years. being responsible for the economic policies that Trudeau's put in place, saying that he would fight Trump, and they're still backing him. I don't know if you saw the trend. There's new polls coming out showing that not Trudeau, but Carney is more approved than he was when he got elected. Like, he's on the rise as per the polls. So don't tell me that they don't need to protect themselves. They can do that in the open because we're too fucking stupid to actually pay attention. God knows, as long as you give us Facebook, you give us our football games and our hockey games, bro. As long as this rules our life. You know, I saw the expression
bread and circuses.
But you know, when I was young, I heard that the reason people are so uninformed is for the lack of access to technology or to information. You know what the internet proved to us? That we're just fucking stupid because we have access to all the fucking information in the world.
Well, we have access
we
to a lot
choose not to look at.
We have access to a lot of false information. It's information overload, right? It's really hard to parse what's true and what isn't. But just before we get there, I'll just do a quick segue, guys. If you are checking in, especially for the first time ever, welcome to the show. We are the Political Orphans. Stick around, drop a comment if you want to join the conversation. This is the format. It is me, the classical liberal, Nico, the common sense conservative. We talk about the issues of the day. We have debates. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, but we always have respectful conversation and great discourse here on the show. If you are, Jason, what's up, brother? Haven't seen you for a few days. If you are joining us from X, like Squirrel Nuts here is, that's great. Please remember to like and share the show. Like that smash button, as we like to say around here. But remember, over on YouTube is where all the action happens. If you see down in the right hand corner, you can see all the conversation, even the ones that we don't highlight. All that is happening over on YouTube. So if you do have the ability, it's always best to go over there. And once you're over there, if you want to support us by joining we call it the coffee scheme, where you can support us by becoming members for $2.99 a month, the price of a very cheap coffee. Not even one of those fancy ones that Jason always gets. He's always bragging about. But it's funny. I'm laughing because he's never once bragged about it. We just made that up and stuck it on him. But it's what we do here. And other than that, guys, remember to throw some comments in, and we will get to them if we can. And join the conversation.
Don't miss to say that the $2.99 a month will give you priority in the comments. But the whole point is that we created a Discord server in the back end, and this is a way for us to keep the trolls away. Because we want to be able to carry the conversation we have here over there. And unlike here, it's not censored. I get to say whatever the fuck I really think. And the people that are there as well. So if your wife, your husband is tired of hearing you talk about politics, God knows my wife is. That is the perfect place for you to save her ears and maybe save your marriage. So maybe we should be marriage counselors now. This is one of the ways you're going to save your relationship.
Yeah.
Save your relationship and join the Discord server.
Marriage counseling for the price of $2.99 a month.
That's not bad, man.
Yeah, you can't beat that price. Squirrel Nut says, when the people we are supposed to trust are not trustworthy, what do we have? And that is an excellent comment. How are we supposed to, like I said, if you've been following the show for a little bit, you know a little bit of my backstory. Probably I was a liberal my whole life, and I still consider myself. A couple of years ago, it was the trans thing that started getting me to be like, no, this stuff isn't right. But then once you turn your perspective on one issue, you start to see other things. So I always believed, say, the climate change narrative, right? Because the experts were telling me. But now the experts are telling me that women can have penises and men can give birth. And what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? So then when these same experts are saying, oh, but by the way, climate change is real and it's going to be catastrophic. And then I look around and I see all the governments all over the world using climate change as a political weapon and tool to put taxes and raise money. And I'm like, and actually ignoring things that actually would solve the problem, like nuclear power, like a large investment in nuclear power. All of that stuff makes you really, I'm right with you, Squirrel Nuts. It's so hard because the people you're supposed to trust, the media, the experts, the scientists, trust the science, are untrustworthy. And what the fuck do we do? So people have to turn to, what some people might call conspiracy theorists, or just yahoos on the internet like me and Nico, or any, any podcasts, or people are turning to people like us to try to get some semblance of truth. And that is why that's always going to be a really big thing. Like you'll notice if you've been here for a while, if we say something that's not true, we will always correct it. Sometimes in a later show, sometimes the next day or a week later. But being able to trust that we might not always be right, but we will correct our mistakes the way the media is supposed to do. That's really important to us here. So that sounds like a spot, like a community that you want to be a part of, then stick around.
Hey, let me show something here. Because I wanted to bring that up. I wasn't able to find a video for it, or at least I didn't check for a video. But this is something that absolutely, because I want to show you the comments of this. So this is, we talked about this before the show. Alberta is set to put guidelines on schools, library books after parents flag sexually explicit content. I know that both you and I are like, yeah, it's about fucking time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you a video from CTV News.
Are they
I
saying
haven't watched
it's homophobia? It's homophobia.
I don't know. I haven't watched it. I had an article instead,
Okay.
but fuck this shit. I want to see what they have to say, because the comments are, oh boy, they're brilliant.
The Alberta government is creating guidelines for what books are allowed in school libraries. It says several books with inappropriate content were discovered in schools across the province. As CTV's Nicole Weisberg reports, some books are already being removed from school shelves.
I would show these images to all of you here and to the media, but they are too graphic for a live stream media event.
Images, Alberta's education minister says, were found in books in school libraries across the province. Content CTV News was provided, but deemed inappropriate to air.
Graphic depictions of sexual activity and nudity. A group of parents approached me and provided me with excerpts from many of these books.
The province pointing to content in 4 graphic novels found in schools, including those in the Edmonton Public.
I want to see that again.
Those books?
Yes. So let's see here. Gender queer. Yeah.
I've seen some of I've
seen some of those. Those are bad. Those are fucking bad.
Got two women having sex, one of them sucking the strap on. And this is a kid's book. These are kids' books. Kids books.
What is that? Blankets, and that looks like 2 women on the top.
I'm sure there's one there that says, like, "Don't tell your parents" is probably the title of one of these books. It's her little secret.
Oh, hold on. One of them is Flamer. I'm just gonna.
Oh, of course.
Gender queer book. Hold on. I'm writing them all down so that I can actually look them up afterwards. Because gender queer, I've seen it before. I know that one is terrible. Craig,
well, yeah. Now that we're on the topic, let's show people what sort of.
No, but hold on. I need to check them out first, because that's the type of shit that if he can't talk about it on a live stream, guess what you can do on YouTube? Obviously, he can't either. Flamer
now
by Mike Curado.
Just take this quick comment. Cheryl says,
go for it, man.
Rob, what's great about you guys is you are providing a space for conversations Canadians need to be having, regardless of their political views. That's a great comment, Cheryl. And I and me, Nico, we both really appreciate that kind of feedback, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. As I said, they're going to be like we just did a few minutes ago. There's going to be times we don't agree on everything. There's going to be times we do agree, but there's always going to be space for every conversation. We just think that that centrist middle, or even, because even where we think the middle should be, right? Because we're I think one thing me and Neil could both agree on is the center of the Overton window is probably not where it should be right now. So
no.
I mean, a lot of people would think you're probably extreme far right. I don't think you consider yourself extreme far right. You probably consider
compared to Canada.
Yeah, well, sure, but no, I mean, where you think it should be, you probably would ideally consider yourself like a common sense Christian.
I want to be in the middle.
Yeah, right. And that's where we both agree on that. We're going to be on different sides of where we think that Overton window should be, but what we do think is that middle of the Overton window should be shifted to the right more. I want to be on the left of that Overton window. You want to be on the right, but we both agree it should shift. But Cheryl, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is just create those spaces. And I think most of the comments especially from our regulars are here all the time. I think that's one of the things that you guys keep coming back for, is that conversation, the ability to have that conversation and not sort of get bogged down in a lot of the name calling and just dismissals, just sloganeering that typically dominates political discourse.
So we all seen genderqueer. So I got the 4 titles. We'll go through it before we finish the video, because I did not look at the video first. I'm just like, okay, thank you for giving me ammunition. So basically, this book, Genderqueer, was written, and it is a memoir written and illustrated by Maya Kababy.
If you go up and click on images, I bet you'll see specific pages from the inside.
Yeah, but that's the thing. This is the type of shit that you can't share on YouTube.
You think YouTube will care? YouTube will promote that shit, man. YouTube wants that shit in fucking schools.
YouTube will promote that shit on channels that promote that shit. They will get you in trouble if you're talking against it. That's the problem. Bringing it up is not the problem. It's who talks about it.
Let's show it and talk about how great it is. Talk about how much we support showing kids these things,
bro. Just the literal definition on the about on Google says that it is about exploring gender identity and sexuality, and ultimately identifying as being outside of the gender binary. Why the fuck is that in school? Why? Why is that in school?
No need for any children to learn about gender identity, which, no matter what you ask a far left or trans activist, if you ever ask them what exactly is gender identity, any answer they ever give you will always boil down to some version of sex-based stereotypes. It will always be something like, well, girls wear dresses, therefore if you wear a dress, you're a girl, you're a woman, even if you're a man. Which is, of course, incredibly regressive and would fit perfectly at home with, the classical traditional positions. It's so funny because the trans activists, they claim to be obliterating gender norms, but they're actually strictly enforcing gender norms. They're the ones that'll say, oh, if a young boy plays with a doll, he's not actually a young boy, he's a girl, because only girls play with dolls. The correct answer, of course, is, I personally probably wouldn't let my young son play with dolls. But if one does, it doesn't make him a girl. Boys can play with dolls if they so choose. That's how freedom works.
So this one, I'm going to need to look into it, because it seems that it is a coming of age autobiography. The book tells the story of Thompson's childhood in an evangelical Christian family, his first love and early adulthood. That is blankets. But I like how the first comment of a woman, clearly with a mask. If you're wearing a mask on your profile picture, right then and there, it tells me a lot about you. But the picture, but listen to this. The book was made for adults. If that person with a mask and a hoodie on their profile picture saying that it was made for adults, why the fuck is it in school? Because even CTV said it was in school. So right then and there's a problem. A flamer. Do you think it's about a fireman? Or is it?
No, it ain't. It is not. What?
Oh, yeah, of course it is. In a Boy Scout, so basically, again, they're all somewhat autobiography. It's a semi-autobiography. In a Boy Scout summer camp, it tells the story of Aiden, who is bullied for his appearance, including acting in a matter considered stereotypical of gay men. And Fun Home, a family tragicomic. I've never heard that expression before. What does it say?
Tragicomedy? I guess a tragedy in a comedy.
Yeah, I guess so.
So the gist of it is, these do not belong in schools, Let kids find out about sex the same way the rest of us did, fumbling around in the dark with our girlfriends and boyfriends when we're 15 and 16, or making out in the woods behind the AAA. Like, that's the tried and tested way to figure out what you like. You don't need to teach kids how to have anal sex correctly. You do not need to teach kids how to rim each other. They can, if they want to do those things when they're adults, they trust me, they'll figure it out. We don't like, if I'm perfectly fine with zero sex education whatsoever. At the same time, if you want to go to high schools and say, you know, a class once a year on actual, say, you know, how to protect yourself or how to avoid being pregnant, I don't have an issue with that. I have a huge problem in telling kids how to have sex, the ways to pleasure themselves and other people, and implant the idea in their mind that human beings can change sex, and you can be any sex you want, because you cannot be. It is just what you are. You can't choose your height. You can't choose your eye color. You can't choose your sex. There's just some things in life we don't have the ability to control. And that is life. We need to grow up and be adults.
I just don't understand why the fuck is it relevant to children? Why is it such a taboo for parents to say, I do not want this type of garbage to be shown to my kids?
Without being bigots, right?
Yeah,
Without being
so
bigots.
there is a difference between talking about biology, talking about the actual human body, and relating it to sex.
Sexual behavior, 100%.
This should be left to the parent. And you know what's the worst part out of all of this is I'm an expecting parent, right? My wife is going to be giving birth within the next month and a half or so, 2 months maximum. And you know what? This is the reason why our kid will never go to public school. They will never attend that. I will take it out of my time. My wife will do the same so that we can teach him better. Because this is the type of shit my kid does not need to know that when he's at school. If he has questions, you know who he should come talk to? Me, my wife. You have questions? We're your fucking parents. I don't pay taxes to have assholes teach my children about what they think is important. You know what? You did that as a child. Sucks for you. I'm sorry to hear it. But that type of bullshit does not need to be shown to kids. I don't understand why is it such a big deal for us to say, you know what? Teach that shit if you want to. But don't teach that to my son. Don't teach that to my kids.
And they
Do you
call you
think that the Muslim guys, you think that Muslims in school are going to allow for this type of shit? Of course not. Are you fucking kidding me? But yet, are they considered bigots?
And they're not. They're allowed to be oppose it because
of course
their religious concerns are actually matter. But if as a white guy you oppose it, you're just a homophobic bigot. And like here's this one. I don't know if you saw this.
The Political Orphans. What a bunch of fucking pricks. Because you said there's this one. It's just the background.
Oh, is that what it is? Do you see that there? It's
no, it's just it took a second to show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Look at those fuckers.
Here's a bunch of pricks. This one's called Granddad's Pride. It is a book for children for 3 to 6, and of course they talk about it's equality for all, trans rights. Now here's Granddad, just look like a normal granddad. Here's Granddad at Pride in fetish gear. Like, who the fuck thinks this is appropriate for a fucking 3-year-old to see? It's all about pushing an ideology on kids. And, you know, if you want to teach your kids that's perfectly fine. But you do not have the right to teach anyone else's kid that shit is normal. I'm all for weirdos and being abnormal. But do not tell me that Granddad fucking wearing his fucking fetish leather gear and making out with a dude at Pride is any sense of normal. I think Granddad should have the right to do that if he so chooses, but by no means should we be teaching fucking 6-year-olds that that's any type of normal or, you know, like reasonable behavior whatsoever. A lot of those books like genderqueer and stuff, it's not just, as you said, no problem teaching biology, the body. I think that's appropriate, you know, age appropriate stuff. The line should be when they start teaching kids about how to actually have sexual pleasure. You know, it boggles the mind that we got to this point where saying, you know, maybe we don't need to be teaching 12-year-olds how to stick things in their assholes for sexual pleasure. You know, maybe we don't need to do that. And people will call you a bigot for saying that. And it's like, what? We're in fucking La La Land, man. How the fuck did we get here?
Before we actually continue this,
Sasquatch,
like,
yes.
My grandfather taught me how to fish, but that world is gone. Like, we did not have the same type of
we're not the same.
childhood.
Right? And that's what Grandpa's pride should have been. Teaching his grandkids how to fish, teaching his grandkids about the world, not teaching his grandkids how to be sexually deviant degenerates and wear fetish gear at public parades. Like, come on now.
But just looking, so we went through 51 seconds of that 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, let's finish it. Now that we looked at every single book. But the thing, I wanted to make sure before I pass the comment, but can you honestly tell me, and I'm talking to you behind your phone right now, look at the titles that are there. Look at the covers. Does any of those cover look like the type of shit you would like your kids to look at? Like, just look at the cover. Does that look like the type of books you want your children to be reading at school?
No.
Nonetheless, just by the cover, we didn't. We mentioned we went through what they're described as. None of them is the type of shit my kids would ever look at. But just look at the titles. Just look at the picture on the covers. You know that flamer with the 3. Does that mean something? I don't understand. Like,
it's a gay slur usually.
Oh,
like,
of course it is.
Look at those flamers over there. Because they
Oh
always.
yeah, no, that's true. Because when I call people homosexuals, I always do this. That's true. Yeah.
Including those in the Edmonton Public Division. Now it says it plans to create guidelines to ensure age-appropriate book selection. It has launched an online survey.
And those are kids. Let me point that out. This is not a teenager.
Look at this child. Look at this child. She's what is she? 4, 5?
Oh, she's in school at least 5 or 6, I would have to say.
Yep.
But we're not even talking teenagers here. Like, this is CTV. We're not talking about a right-wing media that's trying to demonize everybody. That's CTV news, and they're showing literally the video of what looks like a 5-year-old. And even the guy that's in the background there don't look much more than 8 or 9 years old. Those are not fucking teenagers, 18 years old, that are about to go to college here. We're talking about kids in elementary school. So don't give me this shit that, maybe they're old enough. Yeah, no, clearly not.
For Albertans to have a say.
We want to ensure transparency for parents so that they know what is available in
No,
their school
how
library.
dare you?
And to have a process for complaints and concerns about book materials and other library materials.
The Edmonton Public School.
So they want to be aware of what the problems are, and they want to give an opportunity to the parents to actually complain. How dare they? You're not allowed to.
Ridiculous, right? How dare these bigots? No, I'm not a bigot. I don't care what you do. Just don't teach my kid about it. How dare you? I don't want you teaching my kid how to have weird sex. It's not appropriate, man. How the fuck did we get here? We're bigots. We're bigots for it. It's insane.
But
people as a liberal,
like, they're making it.
This is one of the things that first started me to go against, like, to really open my eyes about what's going on with left-wing ideology. Is this shit right here. Leave the fucking kids alone. Do whatever the fuck you want as an adult.
They're making it sound like it's a big deal for parents to complain. How dare they have an avenue where they can let us know that we don't like what we're seeing? Are you kidding me? Taxpayers' money and their kids. How dare you have an opinion? How dare you tell us how to raise your children?
It's wild, right? And that's the thing. It's just they're genuinely shocked. How could you dare want to protect your kid from this enlightening LGBTQ, LMNOP, QRS, whatever the fuck, enlightening education? You're a bigot. You hate gay people, you hate trans people. No, I just don't want my kid to be taught how to have fucking degenerate sex. If he wants to have degenerate sex as an adult, I promise you he'll figure it out. Like every other.
I don't want my kids to be taught about sex at all. Fuck the crazy weird sex that I don't want.
No, I'm with you.
Don't teach my kids about sex. No sex.
Even like masturbation. There's no need for them to learn about masturbation or anything like that. They'll figure it out the way we all did, the way every single human being who has ever lived figures it out.
Division declined an interview, but in a joint statement with the Calgary Public School Division says this announcement has come as a complete surprise to both our boards. And both our divisions follow established, rigorous processes to ensure that library resources are age appropriate and relevant for students.
Age appropriate and relevant.
I can see that in your face right now. Go for it.
Yeah, no, age appropriate and relevant.
Perfect freeze. Perfect freeze. Does that look age appropriate to you?
Yeah.
Look where they froze it. Does that look age appropriate?
And look at this book here on the left, Gender Queer. Can you just remove that? I'm just going to show you a picture from Gender Queer.
Is it a bad picture?
No, I mean it's
does it show anything? Is it censored? Like, is there?
No, there's nothing censored. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they're going to show it to our kids, how the fuck could they censor us from adults talking about it on the show?
I have seen videos where parents went to complain at the school boards, and the school board refused to see the pictures because it was age inappropriate. The parents are like, "I'm here exactly for that."
That's infuriating.
We can't show that. We can't talk about this because it's too sexual. So unfortunately, here, share it in the Discord server.
But it's fine for the kids,
bro. That's been going on for years. I've seen so many of those videos, and I'm like, if I had hair, I would have ripped them out.
I won't share it here.
I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to keep my only YouTube channel ever not to get destroyed and banned like most of my other socials.
Well, I mean, I don't think they ban us for this because, again, they're demanding we show it to kids. But just to be on the safe side, it's fine. But it's in that book, Gender Queer. It's basically a graphic novel about how to have lots of weird sex. And in the show,
I've seen it before.
Yeah. And it's
they show some positions. I know. It's
the picture I'm looking at is a woman with short hair who thinks she's a man sucking on the fake penis of another woman.
We can definitely not show that.
Yeah. Well, there's your visual. There's your visual. But that shows how insane it is. We are adults having an adult show talking about it, and we can't show it. But we are not allowed to object to them showing it to us.
Because you're a bigot. You're a bigot.
Or you're a bigot. You're a homophobe. Something has gone terribly, terribly wrong here. And we all need to give our heads a shake and wake the fuck up.
You're a bigot.
Edmonton, the books have been temporarily pulled from school library shelves for review.
One of my concerns when we start pulling books from shelves is, where does it end? It's a slippery slope.
Oh, you know where they're going to go? Nazi book burning. They automatically go there, right? Oh, if you remove those books, what's next? Biology? Science? Hey.
No.
You know that twat is going there. That bald-headed twat is going exactly there.
It's not a slippery slope. It's really easy to say, okay, well, do those science books have explicit sexual content between?
Yes. No, thank you.
No, it doesn't. Okay, then we won't ban them. It's not hard. There's no slippery slope. We don't need to pretend this is more difficult than it is. If it involves putting things in bodily orifices, putting things in bodily orifices, you don't need to show it to kids. It's not fucking hard.
Actually, it is hard if you're putting it in things. Let's try to finish the video.
Got the weirdest boner right now.
Let's hear how this is Nazi book burning, and it will never end, right? The dictionary is next.
How could we ever stop?
No, we can't. Obviously,
we can't. Once you ban one book, we must burn every single book that's ever existed.
100%.
We do not have the cognitive ability to make those kind of distinctions. Said by the same people who don't know what the difference between a man and a woman. So I guess, if you don't know the difference between a man and a woman, maybe it is hard for you. Maybe you don't understand how you can do it. For the rest of us with IQs over room temperature, we know how to be able to separate the bullshit that you shouldn't show kids from normal books. It's not hard. All right,
and here's a proof. All those books have nothing to do with sex. All of them. I have hundreds of them behind me. Just saying. Books exist that have nothing to do with sexuality. Just
so sex obsessed. They don't think books exist. That don't.
They do.
right, let's try to finish this video.
Where does it end? It's a slippery slope that we get on, and I'm worried.
Oh, he said it.
Into a myriad of book challenges and book bannings that we see happening south of the border, happening here.
You're right. You nailed it.
Survey is open until the end of next week.
Bro, I've heard this speech, man. I've been hearing this shit for 4 years. Oh, where does it end? Where does it end?
It ends when Grandpa is not wearing fucking leather fetish gear, making out at Pride. That's where it ends. You know, it's not hard. They're making it sound so hard, and it's so easy.
You know, he is very hard.
He is. This guy is.
Survey is
You
open
gotta check,
until the end
check
of
that
next
guy's hard
week,
drive,
with
man.
the goal of having the new guidelines in place by next fall. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
All right, we finished.
Hold on. I want to see something because at the end it just shows.
TV News, Edmonton.
Mother.
With the World Hockey Association folding, Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers
Wayne
joined.
Gretzky.
No, but the thing I wanted. Oh, of course. Now, oh, there you go. I just
The
want
Alberta
to say
government.
one thing because remember when you went to the video store, they would have like member picks or like staff pick. They seem to have that at the end.
Week.
Oh, do they? And you know the staff picks are all on those ones.
This is what I want to see. There you go. See?
Oh, yes, staff picks. You're right. And is that on those books?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, that's good.
I don't.
That's a decent book. That's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie they turned it into.
So at least the staff picks are not about the type of
at least
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So that's good. Should we take
you know what I wanted to see? But before we do, this is the part 20 minutes ago, or however long we started this video. 2-minute video, 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
See, but this kind of proves my point. It's probably just biology book with a human diagram.
It isn't.
Sure.
It isn't.
Oh, sure. Gender queer is all about biology. Sure. What fits in what hole? Do you consider that fucking biology? Fuck.
That's the normie position, though. The normie position is no. I'm sure it's fine. That's the thing. That's why it's
never
important.
Looked at it.
That's why it's important for us to have these conversations, and why it's
Yes.
important for us to show where we can without getting banned, to show what they're actually talking about. Because most normies who will, if they just see that video, will be like, oh, that's terrible. Book banning. Oh, where will it end? Slippery slope. But if they actually saw because you'll notice they had the covers, but that was it. They never fucking delved into it. They never opened those books. Because if the normies saw it, even the normies would be like, well, I'm appalled. This is
absolutely disgusting would be probably exactly the normie reaction right there.
Yep.
But
100%.
see, so when is the fascist province of Alberta separating from Canada? So basically, if I don't agree that you should be showing this to children,
you're a fascist.
I'm a fascist.
Well, it's just like I'm a far right Nazi because I don't think women can have a penis. So
if you're a far right Nazi, I am just.
Oh, you're not even.
Planet.
You're so far right. You're on the far left. You came back on the other side.
No, but it's impossible. I'm a flat earther. So
yeah. Oh, that's right.
See, it never. Oh,
yeah,
fuck. It never. That was a joke, but that never
yes.
fucking ends, right?
Yeah, it never does.
But at least I'm just happy to see expose the author and bookmakers to protect the children. Yeah. It is a slippery slope on banning books. Maybe it is a slippery slope before you start having porn material. Yeah, that's exactly it. Why would you argue with age appropriate material? And it's do they
have Mein Kampf? Do they have Mein Kampf in the library? I would say not. And if you try to put in there, they would ban it, right? Yeah. So like they don't consider that book banning because it was never allowed in the first place. But if they allow a book in and then you try to remove it, well, that's book banning. It's just insane woke left logic, right? Or lack thereof of logic. Should we take a few of these comments?
Want to take some of those millions of comments?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there.
this
Jason,
is both a subject that you and I just fucking shit over.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do, right? And I think a lot of people get animated by this. Jason says, for a Tuesday, this is a hell of a Monday. I'm with Nico about the birds and the bees. being a parental thing. Y'all are on fire. Yeah, that Nico's take is the correct one.
We're flaming.
We're flamers. Hey.
Heyo.
Yeah. The take of teach biology. Absolutely. You know, and some people might disagree and say, don't even teach like how to not get pregnant. Don't even teach safe sex. I have no problem with teaching 17-year-olds safe sex principles. Sure. But if other people say, no, don't want it all, that's fine too.
Should
but
be
no
allowed
matter,
to opt out.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to
100%.
show this, if I disagree, I completely disagree that my kids should not be taught that. But if you think yours should and you agree to the curriculum, I disagree. Just take my kid out.
Yeah. At a bare minimum. At a bare minimum. Right?
Like that is the who can argue with this? Who can argue with the
honestly,
fact that as a parent, I should have the choice to say yay or nay.
I'll even take it one step further and I'll say the default should be out and then have the course available and parents opt in if they want their kid to hear that. I like that better, right? I don't think it should be the default.
Look at Robbie.
Look at the big brain on Robbie.
Also, you like that movie, eh?
Yeah.
That is a great fucking movie.
What was it? I'm remembering the line, but I forget the actual movie.
It's from Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah,
shoot the guy.
Look at the big brain. Yeah.
He talks about. I have such a weird fucking memory.
Royale
I
with
remember oh, because it's they use pounds over there, not kilo. Look at the big brains. Yeah.
Such a great movie, man. The dialogue is so good. So Sasquatch says, kids don't read books like that. It's some adult pushing the kid to read it. When I was a kid, I wanted to hang out with my friends and play baseball. And you're right. You are right. It is an adult pushing it. But as Prairie says, Sasquatch, that child won't read the words, but they will definitely look at the pretty pictures. And you know that's true. I remember going to the library as a 12-year-old, the adult library, and trying to find dirty books. Like kids are going to seek that shit out, right? They're all little creeps, but we don't need to feed into them. We don't need to feed into that shit. And certainly 6-year-olds who are not thinking that shit at all. No. We don't need to be forcing that on them. But if you noticed, all those books, pretty colors, cartoonish, it's clearly designed to capture the attention.
It ain't for me.
No.
That book was not designed for me because you know what? I don't look at the cover of a book. I actually read the back and then I research it to say, oh shit, maybe that's something I want to read. If you put a pretty pictures on it, you don't have me convinced. Unlike Jason, I don't need pretty pictures on my products like coffee, for example.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Prairie says newsworthy and of public interest. I assume that she means this topic, and I agree. If you guys are getting here late and you didn't see the throne speech, you didn't miss much. We'll do a little bit of a recap before the end of the show. But remember, if you can just also go back and watch the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot. It was all just some I thought it was some PR stunt.
You're welcome for not having to watch it.
Yeah, we did it, so you didn't.
Did it?
Yes, and did it honestly, it wasn't even if you watched us cover the debate where we were all kind of laughing and cracking jokes. They didn't even give us that kind of material. The man is the most boring human being in the world. Jason chimes in, when it becomes to being old enough to drink, old enough to drive, old enough to fire a weapon or join the military. And I assume he means sure, that's fine, and I agree.
Yeah.
But right now they're too young to know any better. This shit, geez, yeah. So 100%. Sasquatch, has anyone noticed how evil the world's gotten in the last 15 years?
Yep.
There's been a huge decline in society. People follow on like dumb sheep. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't
started on this one.
Yeah, I feel like that's a rabbit hole brewing. But
for me,
for you for sure, and I also agree with it. But I feel like it's a rabbit hole for you, whereas I'll agree with it. But you could do a whole show on that.
The point of the matter is that the less there is a connection to, there's a good reason why the woke, socialism, communism always go for one thing first: connection with God, and they try to put themselves there. Because when you start worshiping whatever the fuck you want, that gives you the feeling that you can do whatever the fuck you want. And this is the problem. We don't have any morals as a society anymore. Like fucking King Charles talked about praising God. I'm like, oh, bitch, please. It fucking Carney saying he's a Catholic. Like, fuck you. Like, if you were a Catholic, motherfucker, everything you're talking about would not happen. You'd be actually serving the people, not dismissing them because they're women.
Yeah. Just a little hand dismissal. Look inside yourself, Melanie. Nick says, but the Canadian Cancer Society discusses cervical cancer using the word front hole instead of vagina because it's gender neutral. That's ridiculous. I saw that too. And it's funny because they'll be like, oh, it's inclusive language. Well, it isn't inclusive to all the women. Like, how dehumanizing is that to relabel their body parts as a front hole?
Did you see the video of the guy, the girl that goes, the girl that's now a dude that goes to get a pregnancy test done because she's pregnant, and she's like, how is it possible? I'm a man. And the doctor's trying to explain to her, like,
your uterus doesn't give a shit.
Dylan,
yeah.
Because before you became Dylan, you were a woman. And guess what? Somebody came in you prior to it, and then you're pregnant.
Your uterus. Yeah, I saw that idiot, man. They can't. I tell myself they can't be that stupid, but I think they actually are. And
I
Nick,
don't know if it's for clicks. I don't know. I want to believe that they're not that stupid, but deep down inside of me, it's like, yeah, they're that stupid. But I don't want to believe it.
Nick, and just further to what you're talking about, the Canadian Cancer Society, they also, because I saw the thing that you're talking about, they also recommended that trans women be screened for cervical cancer.
Fuck off.
Not because they can actually get it, but because it affirms their gender and it feels good for them. Meanwhile, you've got actual women waiting 6 months or more for a fucking cervical cancer screening because they actually have a cervix and can get cancer, and they have to wait because these fucking men are using up medical resources for a condition that they cannot get because they don't have a cervix. And has the world gone fucking mad? I mean, it clearly it has. This is a rhetorical question. We know that it has, but it's just, how the fuck did we get to this position?
Oh no, but it gets worse. No, listen, look at this, because I need to find something. I can't share the Canadian Cancer Society because it's very explicit.
Okay,
but I can share. Oh shit, I shared it. Damn.
Let me see.
But you could see it in the back end. But look at this. Top cancer charity apologizes for using word cervix instead of trans-friendly
front hole. Who gives a fuck about what the trans care about? There's nothing offensive about using proper language, but there is something very offensive about calling women uterus havers and calling their vaginas a front
baby carriers,
a front hole. Yeah, it's disgusting. I don't know how they don't see how misogynistic and anti-women it is, and it's pushed by the people that pretend that they themselves are very supportive of women's rights, who will call people like Nico a misogynist and say Nico hates women. Meanwhile, they're saying, but call vaginas front holes, call them uterus havers, just so we don't hurt the feelings of men who have a mental illness that makes them believe that they're the opposite sex.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Shall we move on? Because again, this is a rabbit hole. That is a great choice of word. That is a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think we should probably shelve because it will come back again.
Oh yeah, it definitely will. Yeah, let's move on to whatever the topic is that we have next.
I got something that I found interesting. I found that this morning, which it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, it's problematic. So 85% of Canadians now live paycheck to paycheck. 85%, let me repeat that. 85% of Canadians now live paycheck to paycheck. This is an H&R Block study, and this went up from 60% last year. So within a year, as per H&R Block, 25% more Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. How fucked up is that? How messed up? It doesn't surprise me. But then you have King Charles and then you have King Carney. They're telling us that they will cut taxes by 1%, which will save you, a 4-person family, 2 parents with 2 kids, $800 a year. And also, now you can go to the dentist, and if you're part of that 8 million, and surprisingly, I'm not going to be part of it, obviously, you could save another $800 a year. So you're basically telling me that 85% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck, as in you lose your job, you're fucked. And the best thing that Carney can do is to cut taxes for the middle class by 1% if you're two parents with 2 kids. You're welcome.
That's the big middle class. That's how he's going to rebuild. He's going to build back better. We're going to rebuild that middle class. And if you can't rebuild your family finances with $840 a year, then I mean, what can be said of you? There's no good for you. Now he's going to go out there. I'm sure they'll slide that carbon tax meter back up soon enough, and that'll probably eat that up and then some. But for now, enjoy your $800 a year, which translates roughly to $80 a month. So yeah, you can go out to a movie theater with the kids once a month, and that will
maybe afford food.
That will solve all your problems.
Because remember, I talk about this all the time. 25% of Canadians right now are saying that they're struggling to pay daily necessities. So you have 85% of Canadians that are living paycheck to paycheck, up 25% from last year, not 10 years ago, last year. And study shows that 25% of Canadians are struggling to afford daily necessities. And his solution is $800 cut over 1 year for 2 parents and 2 children. This is what the Liberals have voted for as changed. This is the change they wanted after 10 years of Liberal policies. And somehow Carney is up in the polls when it comes to how they see him, to when it comes to his approval rate is up since he's been elected after standing up to Trump and cutting the middle class income tax by 1%. Thank fucking God Carney's there to save us.
What are the actual numbers in that rise? He went from what to what?
What do you mean?
Like you said, his approval ratings have gone up. What was it before? What is it now? Do you have the numbers in front of you there, or I can?
No,
look that
but
up.
Yeah, if either take some comments if you want. I'll look it up.
Yeah. As Sasquatch says, if you can't rebuild your financial situation with a 1% tax cut, you need to look inside yourself. Look inside yourself, Rosemary. Correct.
Canada.
Correct.
Canada.
Yeah.
Look within yourself, Canada.
China. So he says the problem is mass immigration. I think, I mean, it's obviously a complex problem with different things, but I think that's right at the top. It's probably the single most important factor if we're talking about, certainly if we're talking about the housing crisis, housing affordability. And there's a lot, you know, we've done some shows about it, and, you know, this is a topic we regularly will revisit. But it turns out that the far left narrative of mass immigration being an unambiguous good and no downsides is incorrect. There actually are downsides to it, and there's a lot of them. And my take with immigration, especially as far as the left goes, is whatever a society deems as a reasonable policy, sure, I don't care. If we've had the debate, if we've had an election ran on mass immigration, and whoever's out there saying, yeah, mass immigration wins, then okay, that's clearly what people want. But we haven't had that debate. This is all being done behind closed doors. It's being backdoored. Nobody really supports it. And even Mark Carney is smart enough to know he has to pretend like he's cutting immigration. He can't go out there and say, yeah, mass immigration. His policy is mass immigration, but he knows the rhetoric won't work. And that's what I don't like. Because you can't even talk about it, right? You can't talk about it without being called racist. And that's the problem. How can we figure this problem out? How can we get to the best policy if we can't even talk about it? And so I agree with your take here, Sylvie.
Well, you know what the worst part is I talk about this shit so many times. I've been called racist so many times that it doesn't even matter anymore. So I get to talk about it more and more and more and more. But hey, look at this. So this graph from Abacus Data is a federal government approval. So approval of Mark Carney's government has reached a new high with 50% approving and 24% disapproving. So the red line right here was before Carney.
Okay.
And then this is the disapproval rate in red. In green is the approval rate.
Wow.
So since Carney's become King Carney, the disapproval rate has dropped and the approval rate has gone up, reaching a 50% high. Last year, if you look right here, it says February 24th. So let's take it a year. May 21st, 2024, you're looking at around 27% approval rate.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at May 58% disapproval rate. 1 year later, with the economy just getting worse and worse after him standing up to Trump the way that he did, elbows up, motherfuckers, the way that he's been handling the reporters and shutting them down after he's shooing people when he doesn't feel like talking to them. 50% approval rate compared to 27, so almost double better now. And the disapproval rate was around 58% last year and now is at 24. So literally the approval rate is up almost 50% and the disapproval rate is down 100%.
So,
no, sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm incorrect. Sorry, I fucked it up. The approval rate is up 100% because it doubled. 27 to 54. Let's call a spade here. And it is 100% down. 50% down, sorry, because it is now 24 over 58 last year. What the fuck is going on with Canadians? So, going back to what we were saying earlier, are people just... Why would the people in power behind the scene be scared of publishing exactly what they're doing, talking about the WEF, talking about the WHO, talking about the Agenda 2030, when those graphs exist, when they have access to that data, saying, at the end of the day, there's nothing they can say that a lot of Canadians, a vast majority of Canadians, are just going to be, oh, this is dangerous. Yeah, we need to stop them. Clearly, they approve more of Carney. Like, are you kidding me?
I think these numbers don't really surprise me. We cover Carney enough that I think we have a good grasp of what he's doing. I think the average Canadian doesn't. I think they see him give those speeches, and he comes off good in a speech, right? He gives a good speech. I think he does. I think people that like him already, like people who won't like him, but people who already like him, I think they see that. Like, most people, all they see is a few clips. They don't see his arrogance. They don't see him dismissing Jolie with a flick of his wrist there. They don't see him berating reporters. They don't see him doing any of those things. They just see him, brief 20-second sound clips where he sounds in charge and he's going to take it to Trump. They don't see him over there.
Slogans.
Yeah, exactly. They see the slogans. And I think he's good at repeating a slogan and sounding like from a pure visual test, he looks like a guy who would be a prime minister, in my opinion. I think he does have that bearing. I think we get you don't want to get down in the rabbit hole where, like, just because you oppose someone, like, you hate everything they do. And I know that you don't. Like, you're the first to say the guy's a smart guy. You've read his book. He's an intelligent man for sure.
Unfortunately, yes, very intelligent.
Yeah, I can see why the average normie who doesn't pay that much attention might think, okay, this guy's doing a good job. But I think that's going to come crashing down as the policies hit. And the other thing too that he's doing is he's preventing any accountability, right? He hasn't passed a budget. Parliament sat yesterday. So he hasn't done anything to actually, once he starts doing things, though, I think people are going to see it.
It's I don't know, man. I don't think they will. I think they're going to continue, because if there's one thing I've learned from being a conspiracy theorist, is that no matter what you tell people, they will never believe the conspiracies, because that would mean questioning themselves. That would mean saying, I made a mistake. I did not know what the fuck I was talking about. And
People
you
do
can go
not
to
like
the AA, go to the AA. I've been to AA meetings when I quit being an alcoholic, and same thing for drugs. And the first thing they tell you, that you're the problem. Admit that you're the problem. You have to start from, I have a problem. And guess what? The problem is not the million people around me. The problem stares at me in the mirror. So if there's one thing I've learned over the past 4-ish years of creating content, is that you can scream at somebody in the face as much as you want. They don't want to admit, the average person does not want to admit that they're the problem, that they've made mistakes.
Yep. I agree with that.
So,
100%.
And it's unfortunate because they will continue. They'll pay the price, though. The liberals that pay for them, they'll pay the price. But I will never own. I don't remember who posted that, but one of our users posted that on the Discord server, where you have a Canadian that's talking about how if you live in Canada, you should have nothing under your name. Create a trust, and everything that you buy, just shove it into the trust. Put the money in the trust, buy it with the trust so that it doesn't belong to you. It's not under your name. And this is the single reason why I will never own anything ever again. Everything will be owned by a trust or a corporation. Look at what's going on right now, because they protect themselves. Use the same tools that they use to protect themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
But the average Canadian cannot think about that because, oh, God knows that's way too complicated. And my new Netflix series just started. I don't have time for this.
Oh, yeah. Bread and circuses, right? Ever since Roman times.
Bread and circuses.
That is what, not even since Roman times, since time memorial, but just popularized in Roman times. The Roman emperors understood, keep them, give them some trinkets to play with, like the gladiatorial games.
50,000 people, I think, fitted in that arena.
Yeah, and there's a reason they spent all that money on that. Think of the resources it would have taken to build something like that. It's because
back then,
keep them occupied with mindless games, and you keep their bellies full with bread. You have that, they don't give a shit. The people will
and go to the US right now. As a guy that's traveled it like coast to coast to coast, they have high school football stadiums that are as big as the Bell Center, that holds as many people as the Bell Center, if not
wild,
more.
Eh?
I had a client I worked with, like a guy I coached years ago. He played college in front of 100,000 people. The dude is like 20 years old, 19-year-old at college playing in front of 100,000 people. I've been to shows where some of the biggest names on the planet, like bands, stopped in the middle of the show and just say, hey, guys, this is insane. Sorry, man. We're going to take some selfies because we've never seen 100,000 people before. And those guys are some of the biggest names on the planet in festivals. And that dude did that on a fucking Saturday, like a Saturday night, Friday night.
Just as a nobody kid playing some. Was he a football player?
100,000, 100,000 people. Yeah, he was a great football player, but the point is that those stadiums are all over the place in the U.S.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that it's not distraction. They're not trying to distract you. And I look at Google Trend every day. Literally, Trump could get assassinated. And if there was a football game, it's probably trending the same. Like, fuck. Like right now, the hockey. I look at what's trending in Canada. Hockey games trends more than anything else in Canada. I'm like, oh, sure, no problem.
In other news, President of the United States assassinated. More on that later. Now for our top story, the football, the New York Giants have defeated the. Yeah, it's crazy. So Joe, good to see you, brother. He says, yeah, we're finally going to talk about how the average worker in North America is now making less than 50% of what they made in the 70s in real dollars. Yeah, that's kind of, it all bakes into this one topic, right, that we started talking about, which is like, as Sylvie said, immigration is a there's a reason why historically the right wing, the capitalist wing of the right wing has often wanted open borders immigration, because they love a unskilled, uneducated, often illegal workforce that they can exploit to keep wages low. I don't know why the left jumps on it, because that seems to go against everything the left is supposed to stand for, but that's another question. But yeah, the question you're not talking about here, that's the big story, right? That is what people are furious about. That's the wave that rode Donald Trump in 2016 and in 2024. And it's a complex problem. There's a lot going to it. What do you think? What's your take, Joe? Because I know that you've got a take on this, a fairly strong opinion. And what can we do about it? What can we fix? I think Sylvie's right. I think immigration, getting a sane and reasonable immigration policy, is one of the most obvious policy things that we can do to fix this problem. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about. And when I say this problem, I mean housing. It's housing crisis. It's affordability. It's cost of living. It's just why are we poorer now? Right? It's kind of like the first generation, or maybe in the last 20 years, the first generation that are not expected to be better off than our parents. Why did that happen? What are the actual policy implications of that, and how did we get there, and how do we get out of it? I do not believe that the policies offered by Mark Carney is going to do it. I don't think that that's it. I don't think that more.
I guarantee you it's going to get
worse. Taxes on carbon, or is going to help. Meanwhile, you're neglecting our resources. You're neglecting building. Like he was talking about these big nation building infrastructure projects. Those motherfuckers take 4, 5, 6, 10 years. So you got to get started now. So where is it? Right? Where's the plans, Mark?
Man, listen, he is, even in his book this morning, he was explaining the part I was reading, the chapter I read was about how what he calls the history of money, how money came to be. And I don't know if you know this, but when he was at the head of the Bank of Canada, he's the one that sold our gold. He completely removed us from the gold standard. So whatever we had in our vaults is gone. He got rid of it. He is, in his book right now that I'm reading, he's talking against money backed by gold, whatever it could be, like whatever commodity that it could be. But normally money was backed by gold. He is for fiat money. He's for money because technically the money that we have now, both Canada and the US, is no longer backed by gold. It is just backed by confidence. We will say, yes, I will agree that as payment, right? But he speaks against money being backed by gold. He speaks for the banks that do, what's the term? There's a term in banking that allows banks to create money out of thin air if they are loaning it. Fractional banking. Yeah. He speaks for fractional banking, saying that this is a great tool that banks use, but they need to be regulated by an entity. He doesn't say the government. He says that the central banks are responsible for regulating other banks. But what most people don't know is that the Federal Reserves in the US does not belong to the government. It belongs to private investors that are not even listed. 10% of it is owned by the US. 90% of it is owned by unnamed foreign investors. Same thing in Canada. The Bank of Canada is not controlled by the government. The central bank in Canada enforces whatever the fuck rules that they want. But he is brilliant because he explains a history, but keeps away a lot of the information, as in, oh yeah, but it doesn't fit my narrative. And he does that all the time. If you listen to him, he's very good at pointing things, but he omits all the things that would make you look like, hey, what? Excuse me?
What?
Oh, it sounds great to say that we need to put climate at the middle of every single economic decision. If you're pro climate change, as in not that you want climate change, but you believe that
you believe the narrative, yeah.
You want all of our economic decisions to be based. What is the best thing for the climate? Yes, it needs to be at the forefront. Okay, cool. Thank you. You just gave me an opportunity to tax people out of their livelihood just because it's better for the environment. Yet clearly he doesn't give a fuck about the environment because he can slide it down the way that he wants. And no, it's okay. You're sitting down right now. Climate is not affecting you. but we're going to stand up at one point and climate's going to become something again. So, but they don't see a problem with that. But it blows my mind that you said it earlier. Why would they ever put that information out there for people to see it? Carney published a book and he brags about that book. Do you know why people are not worried? Because people don't read books anymore.
No.
It's literally right there.
Come on.
It's literally right there.
They won't even watch 2-minute reels on fucking X. They have to go to TikTok for 10-second reels. You know what I mean? Because that's the attention span. We're a society of goldfish. And there is, no one's reading a book, man. Come on.
But Cheryl is bang on. The reason he would support fractional banking is that the wealthy borrow money to make money. They don't even borrow. You're thinking banks. The Federal Reserve manages the banks. The banks, who cares about the banks? They can fail. Just look at the Great Depression. Do you know what happened during the Great Depression? Hundreds and thousands of banks closed and they all got bought, pennies on the dollars. The people that really had money, they didn't lose money. It just ended up in a bigger bank account with less hands in it. And guarantee you, it wasn't mine. It wasn't yours and it wasn't our ancestors either. But the point is that he's very clever in the way that he presents information, because he doesn't tell you what's really going on, just enough information that you're like, if I did not know anything about banking, if I never researched it before, if I didn't understand Marxism and I read his book, I'm like, oh shit, it's actually very true. What he's saying, it's absolutely true. But he doesn't explain anywhere that, you know what, I'll be deciding what your values are because I'm responsible for putting them into place. He doesn't say that. He says society. But okay, sure, bro. Who's in charge of society? Governments. So you get to choose. Hey, Nico, you're dismissed.
Oh yeah. Go on. Dismiss. Joe says, I wish I knew the Canadian tax code. I can tell you that down here. So this is a reference to what we were talking about from Joe's last comment about how do you solve this problem. He said, I can tell you down here, or even how did we get here? He said, I can tell you that down here, the downfall of the working class started with Nixon and hit overdrive with Reagan's deregulation and tax cuts for the 1%. Yeah, I think you're bang on there. I think it started, I think he even pinpointed more Nixon's trip to China, where he opened up China, and that started the big
free trade.
The corporations, they knew what to do, and I guarantee you they were pushing Nixon to do that for that reason. And then it just hollowed out what's now the Rust Belt, but was the manufacturing heart of America in the Midwest, or not the Midwest, sorry, but what's that region? It's called the Rust Belt now, but it's like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Great Lakes region. Just the absolute core of industrial heartland of America got completely hollowed out, and all those jobs went to China, and they sit there still to this day. And I think we talk a lot about this when the tariffs come out. I think Trump's intent with the tariffs was to try to bring those jobs back there. I don't think it's going to have the effect, because right now they're so entrenched. It's not even just about labor costs anymore. It's that the Chinese have gotten really, really fucking good at manufacturing. And if you think of how wealthy China is now, like think of the hundreds of billions they put in their military. We all see the videos of those huge infrastructure projects. Like 95% of Chinese wealth would have remained in America, would be American wealth today, on top of the wealth that America already has today, if they had not done that. America would be, in fact, to be honest, that might be almost dangerous to have one country that wealthy, but that is undoubtedly, I think, where it all started.
It's a good thing they're not communists or anything.
Exactly right.
The only thing I wanted to add to Cheryl's comment about fractional banking, the problem with this, and again, that's what the average, I don't know if the standard changed recently, but the standard used to be 1 to 7. You only need to hold 1%, one out of, so basically, let's say I have $1 million, I can lend up to $7 million. At least it used to be 1 to 7. I don't know if that changed, but can you imagine? All you need to have is $1 million in order to be able to loan 7. That is fractional reserve. I own $1 million as a bank. I can loan 7 million. So I create $6 million out of thin air. Not only am I creating it out of thin air, I get to charge interest on $6 million of dollars that did not exist until I said enter on my keyboard. And Mark Carney talks about that and praises that system as long as it's regulated by the central banks, which are owned by foreign investors that are not governments. You
Well,
know,
and
Jacob the Rothschild, if I'm not mistaken, it's Jacob the Rothschild that said, I don't care who runs a country as long as I get to print their money, because the Rothschild are credited for starting the central banks. So, man, again, I've spoke about this documentary. I need to rewatch it, but Money Masters. It's from the 90s. It's a shitty fucking. It's not a very
another one that
entertaining.
explains that. Sorry, finish your.
But it's 3.5 hours long. I think it's 3 hours long. It's dry, but they're economists that talk about how money came to be. And even Carney in his book only picks and chooses. He says that IOUs, like money being backed by gold, only started 600 in the 6th century in China. I'm like, bitch, that's been going on since before Christ.
Yeah,
money was just a receipt.
As soon as we could
give me gold. No, but all money
as soon as we had the technology to get it, we were.
But
using
all
gold.
money was I own gold. I don't necessarily want to transport it to somewhere else, or I don't want people to rob me. So here you go. Here's my money. Give me a receipt.
Yeah,
that's been going on for thousands of years. Yet he only talks about little portion of it. But the point is, watch Money Masters. It explains how the money system that we know today came to be. It will blow your fucking mind if you've never seen it. Boring though, I'm telling you, it's not meant to be entertaining. It's meant to be informative.
Well, yeah, and what we were talking about when Joe was saying he thought it started with Nixon. Another thing is Nixon's also the president who ended the gold standard. Up until I believe it was 1973, you could literally exchange a dollar bill for gold. You could do that, and then Nixon nixed that. He put the kibosh on that, and then the rest of the world followed. But yeah, so that certainly has that effect. I think what you're talking about there, the fractional reserve. There's also a documentary called Zeitgeist.
It's full of that documentary.
Yeah, I think
shit.
the documentary is full of shit, but it starts with an explanation of the fractional reserve system, and I think that might be a pretty good one. I'm not sure.
I'd have to rewatch it. I watched. There's 3 of them.
The overall documentary.
But there's 3. Some of it is good, but as soon as you start researching some of the content that he uses, you start to see he's extremely biased.
Yes,
in what he's saying. So you need to be careful, but it's a good base. I've seen them all. I think there's 3 zeitgeists. The second one, he prones socialism and communism. It's fucked up. When you look at it, you're like, oh, that sounds great. You start looking at it. Oh shit, that's the same promises that Carney are making now. It doesn't sound good to me now. So but if you want to go back, you need to go to a place where, in the US, they used to call them the greenbacks. They still sometimes call their money that because it's kind of a greenish tint. But it was a specific time in US history where the government, not central bank, the government would print money and control the amount of money that was printed so that they could keep it low enough so that people could get paid, people could buy products and services, but they would never create money unless it was needed because you had more people. Because as soon this is inflation, and this is how you start your money. Like 33% of our value is gone over the past 10 years, right? Our purchasing power is gone, but it needs to be controlled by an entity, hopefully the government, that has the interest of the people at heart. And this is not what we're seeing. But this was removed. I think it was 1914 is when the Federal Reserve Act passed in the US. And as soon as it did, you had foreign investors controlling the money influx in the US when it used to be regulated by governments, which the greenbacks. But again, it talks about it in Money Masters.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Joe Stradamus says Trump's tariffs would have worked 40 years ago when all this started, but we are now addicted to foreign made goods. You're right.
Oh,
Trump said, you could have killed the baby in the cradle, but it's grown up to a man now, and there's nothing you can do about it. But of course, they wouldn't have put tariffs at that time because it was the U.S. government, who is explicitly opening up China to be able to do that, to be able to offshore all those jobs. And the reason why it's, yeah, as you said, we're addicted to foreign-made goods, but the Chinese have just gotten really, really, really good at it. I know there's this idea of like, oh, Chinese goods are cheap. China makes cheap goods. Yes, they do make cheap goods. They also make extremely high quality goods. They make all of the goods. They make the cheap ones, the high quality ones, and everything in between. So, you know, we wouldn't have the ability to make goods like they do anymore. I mean, we could if we really wanted to, but it's more than just labor costs at this point, because labor costs aren't that cheap anymore. Obviously, as China has built a middle class on the back of U.S. consumers, their standard of living has risen. Their wages have risen. Their per capita income has risen. So it's not just a labor cost thing anymore, although that's what started it.
So I just want to correct myself. I lied. The Federal Reserve Act didn't come into place in 1914. It came into play December 23rd, 1913. So I was off by like a week. Oh, I just want to make sure I'm not lying to our audience. It was 19.
We are that precise here. That is how we roll.
I apologize. I say a lot of shit, but I try to make sure my shit is accurate. But you know, it's more than one of the side effects of free market that most people don't address, and unfortunately, it blows my mind as to why, is how addicted we are to ownership. Having cheap goods. So you're absolutely right that China will produce high quality products, but that's not normally what we buy. We buy the cheap stuff because high quality stuff is built in the US, is built everywhere you are. It's the cheap stuff. So people are so used to cheap stuff that they buy a lot of cheap stuff.
Yep.
And people want more cheap stuff. And they never stop.
Culture, right?
Exactly. And this is one of the biggest side effects of free trade, is that cheap stuff is so available that people don't even, they're like, oh, this is just $10. Oh, this is just $20. Oh, this is just $5. Yeah, when you start to tabulate those,
it adds
5,
up.
10, and 50, it's like, imagine how high the credit card, Jason's wife credit cards is for all the Starbucks coffees that he buys, right? At the end of the year, it plays a
how much is Sugar Mama? How much she pays for all those?
Oh, Jesus! But I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying, right?
I don't even know if Jason's still here anymore.
I don't care. I'm still gonna rip into him. But all to say that we're so used to buying and buying and buying and buying instead of fixing. You know, there was a great meme years ago. It was just showing an old grandmother fixing her things. Like, we used to fix things. We used to understand.
What happened to cobblers, right? You didn't buy a new pair of shoes every year. You brought your shoes in to get repaired. Television repairmen, you know, like and that's all baked into this culture, like you said. And that's, make no mistake, that's intentional. They have the manufacturers figure it out. They figure it out, and it's called planned obsolescence. They figured out, hey, wait a minute, instead of making really high quality goods that'll last a lifetime, why not make shitty goods that'll last 6 years? And then they have to keep buying it. And we were like, okay, let's like, I moved into I bought a new fridge, brand new fridge, like 2 years ago, and I had to get it replaced twice in the first year because I did get the warranty on it, but I got 2 new fridges because it just shit the bed. It just stopped working. And, you know, it was a stainless steel, like $1,500 fridge. And they do, like, I'm sure they didn't want it to break down the first year, but they, you know, the warranty was like 2 years. I guarantee you 2 years in a day, it's most of the time it's going to crash out.
The last house I bought came with an old school fridge. You know, they're not even white or black. They're kind of like yellow.
Yeah.
You remember the cream color?
Yeah.
It was older than
like stainless steel. They're like 900 pounds. They will last.
They're not stainless steel.
Forever.
They're fucking metal.
Yeah.
No, that shit rusts if you're not careful.
Cast iron.
Oh yeah. But when I redid my kitchen, so I changed it because it did not look right.
It doesn't look good, right?
No.
And it probably costs a lot of, like, electricity is like $50 a month just to power it. Sure, okay,
but
it'll last for.
Brand new stove didn't even work. It wasn't even broken. It just didn't even compare in the heat that it generated compared to that old piece of crap that what you can perceive as an old piece of crap. It worked better than the brand new one. Yes, it looked bad, but it still worked better. But the point I was trying to make earlier is just to say that we're so used to buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying that we don't even consider the cost anymore. So this is the biggest side effect, is that people are so indebted that they don't even realize why, because it's at small little amounts, what seems to be little amounts. But remember, if you bought a fridge back then, you were paying a good amount of money because it was produced here, but it was meant to last 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yep.
Like, I could have left that shit outside to rust for a year, probably plug it in right there in the middle of winter, and it would have turned on. Would have been rusted as shit. And there's probably animals living in it, but it would have worked.
And they're made to be fixed, right? They're like TVs today, like they're not made to be fixed. You can't fix them. They just go.
Your phones.
Yeah, exactly. We get
all the phones now, they have a chassis that if you break your screen, you need to change the fucking inside because the screen is stuck to all the equipment. Do you think it's not done on purpose?
Remember the batteries used to be able to come out too? Now the batteries
could have an
internal.
SD card.
Yeah,
I could put SD cards in my phone. I could plug it in for headphones. That's another thing they got off. But the thing is we're addicted to buying.
Yep, 100%.
And until we break that part that I need to have all the nicest, people buy shit they don't need to impress people they don't even like.
Yeah.
And once this is where we live now. So it's not even that the quality of our goods is not good enough, is that we just want to buy. We're not satisfied. Even if your TV is not broken, but you've had it for 4 years. Oh shit, now they have 8K TVs. I need an 8K TV.
Yeah. What's the difference? Oh, I don't know. 8's higher than 4. Who knows? Yeah, 8K.
We're basically just seeing over the past couple of years cable provider giving you 4K signals. Yet 4K TVs have been around for 8 years now?
Yeah, you couldn't even use it. It wasn't giving you anything. It didn't give you anything, right? Like they just slap stuff like, oh, it's a 48X model. Oh, that sounds good.
So we don't even need to replace our shit. We just want to replace it.
Yeah.
Because we need the new stuff.
And that mindset, that culture is related to what we were talking about earlier about, the lack of attention span. Nobody reads a book anymore. Everyone wants it's just instant gratification. Nobody wants anything delayed. Joe, this is a great comment. It's a quote from Henry Ford. If people truly understood the way our financial system worked, there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. And I mean, that was probably true when Henry Ford said it. Today, they'd be like, can't be bothered. Can't be bothered.
I'm pretty sure the Knicks are playing tonight. So
yeah.
Can we have our revolution tomorrow?
Can we push this revolution off because the Knicks are playing and bread and circuses, man. Mad Dog, good to see you, brother. Haven't seen you for a few days.
It's just guys, I'm sorry we went down that rabbit hole. I love to talk about this stuff, but god damn, man, it's depressing.
No, I think it's a great conversation. I think it's one of the great things about this show is you never know what topic you're gonna get. We do have our main topics.
We like a box of chocolate.
Yeah. like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, we're like a retarded box of chocolate.
Oh yeah.
You'll never know what they're gonna get.
From that moment on, if I was going anywhere, I was running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Look at that gump boy go. Joe says one of the things that got JFK unalived was an executive order that forced Congress to reassume its constitutional mandate to mint the currency. And all the other presidents after that, they got the message. they got the message.
Joe is bang on. That is the reason he is no longer with us, is because he said he would go after the central bank and have the government of America be responsible for printing the money and not foreign entities. And magic bullet.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That is one magic bullet.
Loogie.
Yeah, that is one magic loogie. It turns around,
but I don't know what else.
In midair, mind you.
See, I knew Jason was still there. See, he heard all of my comments about the
about the sugar moms. As Jason will always say, though, his wife is younger and hotter than him, so it doesn't necessarily Doesn't necessarily fit with the classic sugar mama, but she pays the coffee bills.
Maybe she likes to be on top though, so it does fit the.
Maybe it does. Cyril says, anyone old enough to remember when the products you bought were largely made in the U.S. or Canada?
Yep.
I can remember made in China was rare. I feel like, I mean, Nico, me and you were about the same age. I feel like it was like started. It was like halfway through when we were kids, because I can remember the odd, that maybe half products might be made in USA, made in Canada. Now you'd never see anything like that unless it's like some specialty item.
Oh no, bro, there's a great fucking picture. I should have saved it, but there was a great picture. They started, since the tariffs are so exhaustive in Canada, they started labeling. I don't know where you're from, but they do it here. They label, like you're at the grocery store, they're gonna label, oh, this product is from Canada. So basically to try to get you to buy Canadians instead of spending so much fucking money on government tariff that been removed a month ago.
Yeah.
There was one on orange juice. It said that the orange juice was produced in Canada, made in Canada, and they're like, oh, really?
Real live coconuts grown right here in Canada.
See, hold on. There you go. See, from a website right now. Like, just to tell you how fucking stupid people are. See, there you go. And I can tell you, this is Metro.
Made in Canada?
I've been on their website enough to know that this is the Metro website.
Okay.
But there you go, bro. It's made in Canada. I did not realize we had fucking oranges up in the
of course
north, up in the super warm weather of Canada.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It may get pressed in Canada, but the orange, like, that's not what, you know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. It's like saying babies come from, like, men give birth because it started in our bodies, but clearly it doesn't end there. Joe says it's the Volkswagen parable, and this is talking about the
Germany
planned
to
obsolescence.
Mexico. Oh, Jesus.
They almost went bankrupt because everybody owned one and they lasted forever and nobody was buying new ones. Yeah. So there's an incentive for these companies to do it, right? To not make.
That's why they moved their operations to Mexico too. Cheaper, and they have an excuse to just produce crap.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right?
Now they just say engineered in Germany. Yeah.
Oh, it's engineered. Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
You know exactly what the fuck that means. I had a motorcycle. It was a KTM competition bike, like top-notch fucking competition bike. Cost me 20-ish grand, like stupid expensive. I bought the 890cc because the 1280 was just so big. It wasn't pleasant to ride. They're made in Austria.
What are the
KTM are supposed to be all made in Austria. They're a competition bike, right? They're one of the best on the market. Turns out that the 890 models and below, they did the same thing as Germany did. They sent Volkswagen to Mexico.
Yep,
they did the same. Everything was made in China outside of their 1280cc. So unless you got the massive model, everything else was engineered.
Ah, yes, of course.
In Austria.
Which essentially means the profits go there. If
bro,
the profits
my
go there,
engine failed after 2,000 kilometers on a $20,000 bike. They're like, oh, we're going to replace your engine. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Take your piece of crap. I ended up being able to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why I got reimbursed? That's a funny story, though. I complained. They stopped answering me. I was in fucking Yuma, Arizona. I had to go drop my bike in Phoenix, drive a few hours to go drop the bike. A month later, my bike is still at the garage. They have no idea what's wrong with it. I produced a video online that went viral. I got like 1.5 million views on it. It's just me sitting in my phone. I'm just losing my shit. I'm just, hey guys, if you ever consider buying a KTM, just don't fucking do it. They've been treating me like shit for a month. They don't give a fuck. They're not replying to me anymore. They're not even they're not responding to my emails. They're not calling me back. They're not doing anything. So if you have 25 grand to spend, just fucking buy a BMW. So that's basically the video. I just lost my shit. It went viral. 1 million-ish, 1 to 1.5 million views. The director, the regional director of North America calls me on my cell phone telling me that he's going to give me a new bike. For a $20,000-ish. I can't talk to a fucking customer service asshole, but I'm able to get the director of sales for North America to call me on my cell phone, say, hey, bro, this is my personal phone number. So if you need, he started texting me.
What do you say? So what are you wearing?
I started receiving dick pics from anonymous people.
But yeah, it's the power of the the content creator, I guess, or just having eyeballs. The mob. Do you remember? It's kind of the first time I ever really heard about that.
I got Soundcore headphones, right? They're my gym headphones. They hook right at the back of the ear.
Yeah.
One of the left started working. It stopped working, sorry. So I couldn't barely, so I was hearing all the dumbasses at the gym grunt and their gay ass music. So I sent an email to the company. That's just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, hey, it stopped working. It's still under warranty. I bought it on Amazon. They're like, give us that. They get back to me. They're like, sorry, we can't help you. You bought it more than 3 months ago. It was refurbished. I'm like, where the fuck was that indicated? That it was 1, refurbished, and 2, that I didn't have normal warranty on it. So I got an exchange, and at the end, I'm just like, hey, I'm like, okay, cool. Just so you know, I'll give you an opportunity to transfer this email to your supervisor, or as a content creator, I'll just start creating content showing how shitty your headphones are.
Oh yeah.
Next thing you know, I just get an email from UPS saying that
it's on the way. It's on the way. It's on the way.
Brand new pair of headphones.
Yeah, and also, what are you wearing?
And a dick pic.
Yeah. It's like a 2 for 1. Do you remember the story about the musician who, like, I think he was flying Air Canada and they destroyed his guitar, and then he wrote a song about it, and that was like 10 or 15 years ago, but that was like the first time I heard, and it went fucking viral. But yeah, I mean, it works, the power of the mob. But it's kind of infuriating because how many millions of people out there don't have a following on social media and just have to put up with it.
But you don't need to. Years ago, before I started social media, about 8 years ago.
Yeah, Nico, your earbuds are like the US. Awesome. The left stopped working.
Wow, Joe is so clever.
Joe's on the ball, man.
But bro, I think it was 7 years ago, I'm renovating my other house. Like every time I get a house, I get it under market price because I rip it and I rebuild it, right? That's what I do.
Yep.
So I bought an IKEA kitchen that I was all putting together.
Yep.
Yeah. So the guy shows up for the delivery, and I have 50, 60, 70 boxes, right? It's just, they're fucking boxes everywhere. He gives me the receipt, and I'm like, yep, hold on, bro. I'm going to confirm that I have everything. He's like, yeah, I don't have the time for doing that. Can you just sign and say that you received it? I'm like, yeah, I'm not signing shit, bro. You can fucking pack your shit if you don't. If I can't look at it, there's like at least 70 boxes. I'm not going to just accept. So I signed it I just signed saying, I do not accept this package. He left. Turns out I was missing a bunch of fucking shit. So I wrote a Google review, but I take a lot of time in my Google review. I wrote paragraphs.
A very sternly worded Google review.
But it's because I call the customer service. I keep notes of everybody I talk to. I name names. Like in my Google review, it's still there. I still get comments from it from years and years and years ago. Like Google wants me to review people because I leave good reviews, but I leave 5-star reviews or 1-star review.
I don't see the point for what is it, 2, 3, 4? Fuck up, make up your mind.
Your products are average.
Yeah, that's so average. I'm like, you're not even gonna you're not even gonna take the time to comment if it's average, right? Be decisive. Be a man. 1 or 5.
But I had no audience. I didn't create content back then. I just wrote a strong, how'd you say it? A strong review.
Strongly worded review.
again, you know who calls me? The director of the store. They're like, yeah, no problem. We apologize for this. They started giving me a bunch of fucking discounts. It's because the average person doesn't take time. They just accept the fact that they got anally destroyed.
Yeah.
And I don't, bro. I will take your name, the time you called. I will give you a list.
I wish I was more like that. I'm just more like, okay, fuck. I
mean, no, you don't want.
If it's a big if it's a big ticket, sure. But like, if it's a little thing,
no.
But you're like my mom. Like, she goes if fucking like
that's
right, pillow,
bitch.
She goes. She
I'm like pillow. Your mom, bitch.
No, she will. She has some crazy stories about Costco return system. She bought this fucking giant inflatable tube for the kids, for her grandkids.
Well, I don't buy inflammable things though. I'm just saying.
She used it for 8 years. Like, it was a normal 8-year wear and tear. She brought it back, no receipt. They gave her $600. Like,
did you not know that? Costco,
no.
for the people out there,
man. Holy
Costco
hell.
does not need a receipt, and you can return whatever. If
you
can buy boxers there,
it.
you know, man, we use our boxers until they disintegrate. Until you put it on, it just rips. You're like, yeah, okay, fuck, I need to get rid of it. If you can bring that back to Costco and you bought it there, they will reimburse you. They don't have they don't have a time limit as to when they're going to reimburse you. It's just most people don't use it.
Yeah. It's what, like, by far the best. I mean, I love Costco. By far the best return policy in the world. And that fucking hot dog, man, $1.50. It's unreal. How it's Houdini. They're Houdinis. How do you do it? It's not possible. They lose money on it. There's no way they it's a loss leader. Right? They get people in the store for the $1.50 hot dog, and then you walk out with $950 worth of shit.
Do you just take the sausage without the bun?
I feel like there's a trap here. I gotta think. There's a voice in my head saying,
"How many bites do you take of that sausage?
Tread carefully." Yeah, it's a trap.
Yes, indeed. Oh Jesus. Oh fuck.
So the was one of Jason is saying, oh yeah, it says, y'all mad because I'm styling on you, and that was when we were making the sugar mama.
Actually, it is true that your wife does buy you really nice clothes.
I would like to have a Harvard-educated sugar mama. No worries, like
Actually,
there's no hate. There's no hate there.
No, you wouldn't. You don't want a Harvard-educated.
Well,
that means she needs to have intelligent conversation. You can't handle that. You just want a dumb twat. You want like a Paris Hilton. You want a dumb twat that has a lot of money.
No. I actually like intelligent conversation with my partner.
Man, I am wishing for the day that you and I can have one.
One of these days, we talk 2.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. One of these days, we'll get an intelligent conversation in there.
One of these days.
Rob takes a long way, it sounds like. Yeah, I feel like there's a burn in there. Yeah, that's a trap too. It's a trap. Not falling for that one. What do you think? Do you want to keep it going, or do you want to?
Well, I had one more thing I wanted to share,
and that's because more.
Oh shit, we had time to kill, man. What a fucking rabbit hole that was.
Sylvie says Rob prefers Amber Heard types, man. You clocked me. I like crazy, man. I like a little bit of crazy.
Yeah. Women that will take a dump on your side of the bed. Yes,
not that crazy.
The only, you know, Sylvie, the only
not quite that
the only reason the dump would be on the bed is because she missed Rob.
Yeah, I moved at the last minute. I was like,
yeah, Golden Dome, bitches. Golden showers.
Yeah. I do like a bit. That's actually my type. I like smart women. I like smart conversation and a little crazy. You got to have the little crazy. I don't know, just to keep it interesting.
You know something? Have you ever seen the crazy to hot ratio video?
No, I think maybe I have. Okay, well, let's play.
We got the time. We got the time.
All right.
This is like my favorite video ever fucking made. And I apologize to our women followers. I apologize.
This isn't going to help the critics. This isn't going to help the critics of why do you hate women? Angry Beaver says, my type is toxic. LOL, that's the crazy I go for. I like to say that I don't like toxic, but my track record says differently. So I think I'm right there with the Angry Beaver. It's just, I don't know. It's exciting. And of course, once you're there, you're like, oh my God, why did I want this?
Stop fucking lying. The only reason that you like crazy is because the crazier the woman, the better they are in bed.
Correct.
Don't fucking lie, because they go for absolutely anything.
I thought that was implied, but yes, that is the gist of it. And it, you know,
that is the jizz of it. Yes,
the jizz of it. Yeah, it keeps it interesting. My girlfriend is probably watching this, and we'll have to have a conversation later, I'm sure.
Nostradamus is so clever. Redhead strippers and women named Tiffany. My wife is a redhead. I'm just putting it out there.
And her stripper name was Tiffany.
So just so you know, this video is so old that it's not even 16:9. You know, it's like square.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
This is.
Is it like a guy on a board? Oh, I love that. Yeah, this is a great video.
It's probably my favorite video ever fucking made.
Hey, everybody, Jim Jigger here with Tactical Response, and I got the terrorist mouthpiece with me. This is
I love how he has a gun in the holster.
I am the consigliere to the Camden Mafia and the terrorist mouthpiece.
But what are we going to talk about? What are you going to talk about today?
Today's lesson it's a little off the beaten path of tactical response, but it's still something that you can use every day. This is the hot, crazy matrix. It's what you need to know about how to deal with women and how to analyze the situation that you may be in or want to be in.
Okay, let's take a look at that right now.
Okay, so this is the universal hot, crazy matrix. It's everything a young man needs to know about women. I've developed this on my own over 46 years of living on the earth. So this is how it works.
I look at how he has a gun in his holster.
Yeah. He's in his first rodeo.
Axis. And your hot axis.
When you have to have
as usual measured from 0 to 10. We're all familiar with that. Crazy is measured from 4 to 10 because, of course, there's no such thing as a woman who's not at least a 4 crazy.
I say that's my wife.
This is your hot, crazy line right here. Very important that you keep in mind where the hot, crazy line is. As a rule, this is your no-go zone. We do not hang around and date and marry women who are not, at least in our mind, a 5. So this is your no-go zone. You don't go here. We just rule this out. Life is better this way. That's the way it is. All right. Above a 5 and to about an 8 and below the crazy line, this is your fun zone. You can hang out here and meet these girls.
As a guy that's had a lot of fun, he is right.
When you're in the fun zone, you want to move out of the fun zone to a more permanent location. Okay, so that's the fun zone above a 5, hot, below an 8, hot, and below the crazy line. This means these are most of the time not crazy. Okay. Above the danger zone, above the crazy line, we have the danger zone. This is your redheads, your strippers, anyone named Tiffany. This is hairdresser. This is where your car gets keyed. You get a bunny in the pot. Your tires get slashed, and you wind up in jail. Now that we have some of the chart.
As he's doing this, I'm picturing actual people from my life.
This is not
they're there. They're there.
This is
the thing is about, as a guy that edits content for a living.
Yeah,
it's a one-take video. Like he did the small introduction with the other guy, and he's going on like it's a one-take speech, but the guy is just. And he looks like such a nerd.
The fact that he's like the accountants, the whole accountant professor, it's like, you know, chef's kiss. Mwah.
And don't forget that he has a 9mm Glock. And you know, he carries one in the chamber. You know that motherfucker's carrying in the chamber.
Oh yeah, it's funny. As he's bringing them, I'm like thinking of people. Oh yeah, okay, that person, that was definitely fun zone. Oh, I got some danger zones in there too.
But the best part is what comes next is
okay.
Oh, bro.
It's a situation where you have got to use this matrix over time to develop some reliable data. It's like a dope chart, okay? Because at any moment in time, any woman that you have previously located on this chart can vanish from that location and appear anywhere else on the chart. So what you have to do is, over time, collect some data. And once you have a cluster of data points, you can begin to consider that reliable. Now, moving on, you have this zone here. This is below the crazy line, above an 8 hot, but still, about a 7 crazy. This is your date zone. You can stay in the date zone indefinitely. These are women that you introduce to your friends and your family. They're good looking and they're reasonably not crazy most of the time. Okay,
Reasonably
so
not
this
crazy.
is, you can stay here indefinitely. Now, above an 8 hot and between about a 7 and a 5 crazy, this is your wife zone.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Okay. When you meet this girl, you should consider a long-term relationship. This zone is not scaled to size. This is a representation and not an actual. This is not a pie chart showing you how many of these people are out there. This is simply a representation of what you're after. You want to be 5 to 7 crazy, above an 8 hot. That's your wife zone. Okay. Now, below a 5 crazy and above an 8 hot, this is your unicorn zone. These things don't exist.
They do not exist.
If you find
You can hear the people in the background
please
laughing.
capture it safely, keep it alive.
His stone face, eh?
How to replicate that. Okay.
But it's like, listen to the background. There's a woman in the background that's laughing her ass off.
Unicorn. Please capture it safely, keep it alive. Unicorn. And above an 8 hot, this is your unicorn zone. These things don't exist. If you find a unicorn, please capture it safely, keep it alive. We'd like to study it and maybe look at how to replicate that. Okay. So I was explaining this to a guy one time and he said, wait a minute. I met this girl and she's like smoking hot. She's like at least a 9 and she's chill. She's totally cool. She's like not even a 3 crazy.
No,
I said, you're telling me you've met a girl, she's a 9 hot, and she's like a 2 or a 3 crazy. He said, yeah, man, I like her a lot. I said, you should be careful. That's a dude. You're talking to a tranny. So you got to be careful because down here below a 4 crazy.
Keep in mind that this is at least 10 years old.
Way
if not
before,
more.
yeah.
That was not today. That's not funny. That's like, because man, I've seen some videos of guys passing as women, and you're like,
some of them, yeah, some of them.
Where's the sociopath zone?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's finish this. I think it's almost done though.
Yeah, it's
the tranny part took a very different meaning since that video has been created.
Yeah, because the trannies now are not hot and completely crazy.
Yeah.
And above an 8 hot, you're probably talking to a dude. That is the universal hot crazy matrix.
And there you have it, the hot and crazy matrix. Sorry for the women out there.
I think
you've never heard that before. For all the guys, you're welcome.
The fact of the matter is, anyone who understands anything about, female behavior knows that there's something to it. Joe, redhead strippers and women named Tiffany, and you could do some similar chart for men too, I'm sure. But there's a lot of truth in that chart. It's obviously funny, but there's a lot of truth bombs in that. Yeah, it's funny. As I remember watching that years ago for the first time, I was like, "This guy's a genius. This guy is an absolute genius."
This guy should be. This video should be shown to every young man out there. Replace tranny by trans. So that's the only part.
I think the tranny part doesn't. I think tranny part doesn't fly anymore. I think there's the odd.
No, but just put trans. Just replace it for trans.
Oh yeah, no. But I mean, not even the language. It was just like the whole concept of it. There's no fucking trans people are universally insane. Their behaviors are off the charts crazy. There are the odd very passable one, like I don't know, like Blair White or whatever. But some of those Tide Lady Boys are pretty hard to tell, to be honest. But
they get pretty hard indeed.
But yeah, no, it's funny because it's obviously a humorous video, and obviously, like, yeah, stereotypes and blah blah blah. There's actual value in it, though, like to a young man who's actually, you know, I wish I had heard that when I was young. But you know, as we were talking, as what set the stage for that video, you know, with Angry Beaver, that
What
you know,
the fuck were we talking about?
well, we were talking about with Angry Beaver. We're talking about well, it started with Sylvie said Rob prefers the Amber Heard
yeah,
types.
that's what. Yes, that is.
And
exactly
I was saying,
what
kind of
caused it.
crazy is my type. But yeah, those the danger zone ones are my weakness for sure. But I think
they're everyone's weakness. You just have to learn.
Yes.
That's where wisdom is so fucking important.
That's right. That date zone and marriage zone, I think you could probably combine those two, to be honest.
It's all a matter of interpretation.
Yeah.
But I say that to my wife all the time, that there's no such. She's like, I'm not that crazy. Well, you're at least a 4.
Yeah. At least.
She knows what it means because I've shown her the video, right? She's seen it. That is also a video that you should. I think that not only should young men watch the video, they should show it to women. Because if women go crazy and ballistic and call this full of shit, maybe you don't want to date that woman. Like if this is not funny to a woman you're considering having a relationship with,
I think yeah. I think that I would take that as a bit of a red flag, just as someone who's kind of not very, kind of doesn't have really like a good sense of humor. I can see, like, because that isn't really offensive. It's clearly meant to be funny. If someone's genuinely offended by it, I think that would be
for you.
Yeah, exactly. They might be in the danger zone.
Hold on. Nick, we had a friend who thought he found the unicorn and seriously freaked after they went running and her makeup melted off. You know, there's a few rules to dating now. Men should watch that video prior to their first date. Then second, when you first meet that woman, you should ask her about her father. And then 3, always make sure that the first date involves some type of swimming in water. Those are like the 3 rules, the 3 unwritten rules.
Thought we go for you know, dinner and then jump in the harbor. You know,
no, water first.
Yeah.
Don't pay for an expensive dinner if she's a
I think in my life I've met one person I thought might be a unicorn, but I wasn't dating them. A friend of mine was dating her. So I didn't really know the inside track, but there's I think it's rare just because I think the way, you know, really attractive women are treated from a very young age, it's almost impossible to kind of not, you almost have to have the ugly duckling syndrome, you know, where you kind of grew up without that kind of attention, without being treated like you're sort of like, you know, the center of the world or whatever. And then you get hot later in later years, like, you know, in your adult years. I think that's the key to maybe finding
women so much.
And honestly, the same thing applies to men too, right? Like if you were like, you know, the classic like high school jock, the king of the football, everyone knows those peaked in high school, right? And then they're still living there 20 years later because that was the best years of their life. You get treated differently at an age when you're, you know, your personality is still developing, and I think that. Obviously, we're having like a humorous conversation, but there's actually, I think, something to that. That if people get treated the way that really attractive people get treated, you know, even as a teenager in their developing years, I think it does affect a personality in later ways that will probably put you in that danger zone.
You know, an interesting thing about what you're saying makes me think about that French writer. She wrote a book about her passing as a man for a year. Did you read that? You know the book I'm talking about, right? There's this French woman years and years ago. It must be at least 10 years ago.
Okay.
She wanted to experience what men experienced because as a feminist, she thought that men had an easier life.
This does sound familiar.
And then she wrote a book about it. She passed as a man for like a year.
Okay.
And either she wrote a book about it or somebody wrote a book about it. But within a year, she committed suicide. She spent literally a year on as a man, and she realized how shitty the average the average man. Because let's be honest here, the average woman is treated a lot better than the average man.
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's certainly a complex topic, and I think there's a bunch of nuance in that that could be explored. But I think, broadly speaking, I think I would agree with you, especially this day and age, especially where we are right now.
I wish I could share what I just got at the bottom of my screen, because my wife is just above me, right? And my voice carry, I scream, she hears everything that I say. She texted me on WhatsApp.
Where am I? Where am I, Nico? Where am I, Nico?
No. Hold on. She just texted saying, "You're an idiot. That video needs to stop being spread around." Nope. No.
Oh, that's danger zone. No, I'm just kidding.
She is a redhead afterwards.
Oh shit.
And she's not somebody that went to get her hair colored. She is a natural redhead.
That's an indicator.
I've always been a fan of redheads. I like redheads.
Me too.
Really white, like very light skin, and because she has a bunch of how do you call them, freckles?
Freckles, yeah. And that cliche or stereotype of like the crazy redhead or the firecracker. I mean, that's true, man. That just seems to hold up, and I think that's why I've always had a weakness for them too, because they often straddle that danger zone versus wife zone, dating zone.
I agree with Sylvie.
Are you biased, Sylvie? Because I'm looking.
Yeah, you read it. Are you redhead?
Looking at the profile picture.
I gotta say though, to the credit of my wife, I wouldn't have married her. Oh, now she's saying, because she listens to us all the time, right? She's saying, "Be careful, Rob."
I knew that was coming.
I wish I could show. But I wish I could show the messages. Just we have private conversations.
Yes,
I'm not
fucking
sharing that online.
Of course.
But the thing is, though, I got to give it to her. I've dated crazy redheads before, and they're fucking nuts. The average redhead, I will disagree with Sylvie. The average one is fucking crazy. But I wouldn't be married to her if I didn't think she was crazy.
In the good kind of crazy. Like I say all this with affection.
Oh, she's at least 4, right?
Yeah,
at least
have to be. But I mean that
4.
Yeah. And I don't know. I kind of like even that chart. Like he has his perfect at like the lowest crazy, but the most hot. Yeah. I would disagree with that. For me, perfect is higher on the crazy. I'd rather a 6 than a 4 on the crazy. 8's getting a little crazy.
That is probably because on the hot to crazy matrix for men, you're at least a 6 or an 8 when it comes to crazy.
Yeah,
I would like a 0
and like a 2 hot. So I bring nothing to the table. So
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'll get like maybe a 5. You're like maybe
Thanks.
a 5.
Appreciate that.
I'll give you a 5. No homo.
Okay.
I'll give you a 5.
5 hot, 7 crazy. That's not a good mix.
Man, we went down.
Yeah, we went some rabbit holes. Yeah, so we should cut her there because you're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to go.
Just
one
more.
Some conversations. Gonna have to. I know she's just having fun.
No. But you guys don't realize that what I say here, I say to my wife, I say to people in my life. I don't give a. I'm no different. The type of dumb shit I say here is basically the way I am in real life. I forget there's a microphone. I'm just talking to you, and there's a bunch of people interacting with. So it's just.
I think that's what makes the show good, because I think we both just come off pretty authentic. And
but do people look at me in real life, like my wife, and especially her mother? She listens to me talk, and she's like, "Oh, Jesus!" Seriously?
Oh yeah.
But the other day, man, I know she doesn't listen, so I'll say this. But did you see the videos? Of this video of this small, I would say Chinese. Let's call her Asian. She recorded a video of herself looking down. She figured out how tall her husband was, and then she inclined the phone towards her.
This is what I look like.
I did it to my mother-in-law the other day because she was acting something. I said or did something stupid, like that's just what I do. And she started acting like she would smack me with a spatula or whatever the fuck. She's Italian, so they're all crazy.
Yeah, of course.
And then
redheaded Italian. Whew, that's
oh, my wife is a redheaded Italian.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So she says that, I'm like, hey, hold on. I take the cell phone and I start recording her. I'm like, do you realize that every single time you make a threat, this is what you look like? And I showed her the video.
You should have put it in, edit it and sped it up. And
no, I can't do that. Like, I wouldn't do that to her. Okay. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is because I saw it when we first started the show. As long as there's no eye contact, where's the fun in that?
Perry gets it.
That? You know what? I've done too much martial arts. I know what it is to have sweaty balls in your face when you're stuck in a triangle. But you know what a triangle is in jiu-jitsu?
Yep. Maybe like
triangle. That means you have one of the shin bones that's going across your leg, across your neck, and the other leg is wrapping around. So guess what's in the middle of the legs right there? A sweaty fucking sack of balls and penises. And you don't wear a cup, so you feel everything. You're getting choked out to the sweaty smell of balls.
So that I now I understand why you're so passionate about martial arts.
100%, bro. It's all about being gay without being gay.
All about nuts in your face.
No elbows, just balls. Balls
exactly.
and penises.
Exactly.
I saw that as we started the show that Tommy Robinson has been released from prison. I'm pretty happy about this. I like the guy. I like what he stands for, but I wanted to do that and show a video afterwards, a minute long, and then we can end it.
Yeah, we're live on X. If you come here, Tom,
you can.
Oh my God, you look great. What's this? What is this great hairstyle you've now got?
I've had short back and side since year 8.
He's ginger too.
I wouldn't have recognized.
I guess Tom, it's so great to see you. You've been incarcerated in this horrible place since October. Can you tell me, first of all, how are you? How are you feeling, boss?
I feel good. Unfortunately, in a country that doesn't believe in free speech, being a citizen journalist, this place is an occupational hazard. It's ridiculous. 16 years ago, when I first started speaking out against Islamic rape gangs that were plaguing this country, from that point on, I faced relentless.
I love how he doesn't give a shit. He's coming in hot right out of jail.
To silence me. I have never been convicted by a jury. Every one of my convictions have been.
Yeah, we're live on.
You know what I find interesting though, as a content creator, that whole walk is fake. Fake.
Oh
fake,
yeah,
fake,
yeah,
fake.
yeah.
No. Look at what's on his neck. He has 2 microphones pre-set up. This is all for show. Like,
well, yeah, and you can tell the interviewers clearly, sort of bigging him up here. Yeah.
Why not just start the interview?
Just for dramatic.
Why did you have to walk with the two different wireless microphones?
Making the B-roll. Yeah, the B-roll.
But what I found, this is what I found funny though, because I wouldn't have recognized him. If there wasn't a caption saying that this was Tommy Robinson, I wouldn't have recognized him.
No.
And this is a video he posted just saying hobo to pro or something like that. Like, he does look like a fucking hobo.
You doing it before and after? Yeah. He found religion and he went on a rant about
tiny bit of a difference, right?
Wow.
Yeah. How much do you give him on the 10 scale? I'm just.
Oh yeah, he's got that rugged handsomeness. I don't know. I give him a 6. 6
until he opens his mouth, because that British accent ain't.
Yeah, and then I think that's like
real working UK accent.
I think that's real working class UK accent. I mean, it's a completely different one as the Charles that we heard earlier. It's been. But
would you date a UK woman with an accent? I wouldn't. I could.
There's some that I would not like. That I don't know if you hear like Geordie Shore, those ones. Like, it just grates on my nerve. I like the Scottish accent. I like the Australian accent. There's
Geordie
some British.
Shore? What the fuck is that?
It's like Jersey Shore, just like a bunch of trash people going out and partying. But it Geordie, like Geordie. But they've got this really obnoxious sort of accent. But
they do look annoying.
Yeah. And maybe it's just them personally. But see if you can get a clip of them talking.
Oh Jesus, I can smell the douche.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly, right. You already know it before they even speak.
But Jesus.
Oh, Angry Beaver. My girlfriend has a Southern Belle accent. I like
the Southern accent.
I do like that.
You know, I have no shame. We're in Publix. Was it Publix? We're in a nicer. What's the other high end grocery store?
Fuck. In the States or here in Canada?
Yeah, no, we have them here too. It's just they're more expensive. Everything's
Is
organic.
it like the organic one? I know.
Either way, we go to the store because both my wife and I are very careful about this stuff, and we're in fucking Alabama. We're in the south of the South, and there's this girl that the cashier starts scanning. She's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Obviously, she has a
Whole Foods.
Yes, Whole Foods. Thank you. So we go to Whole Foods. And the girl starts talking, and she has that really nice Southern accent. I love the Southern accent.
Yeah, I do.
And I just look at her, and I started just kind of imitating her, not in a bad way. I was just like, "Oh, I love your accent so much." She turned red as an she turned red as a tomato. She's probably like 18, 20. Like it wasn't. It's just my wife is just like, "Oh, you gotta shut the fuck up." When do you do that to me?
She's probably used to that, eh?
Oh yeah, but it doesn't get any better. She still looks at me like, "Oh, shut up already." God damn. But I agree with Angry Beaver. I do like the Southern accent. Like I don't know the British one, but the Southern US accent.
Southern Belle. I like that.
Oh, I like it.
I like the French accent, but like if it's people from France a little more than the Quebec one.
Hey, Nico.
Yeah. It was kind of like, don't people from Quebec look down on like Acadian accents? People who speak French like Acadian. There's a lot of Acadians around where I live, in New Brunswick.
Actually, it makes me sound very smart, so I'm okay.
Does it? Yeah, maybe that's the accent that I'm comparing it to. Not Quebecer, but the Acadian accent, French accent. It sounds very like harsh, and it's kind of they sprinkle in a lot of English words in, and it's a weird mix of them both.
It's not a pretty language. It's not a pretty accent. I agree.
No. Sylvie loves it. She loves the Acadian accent.
She is a redhead.
Yeah. Oh, hi-oh.
Hey-oh. Sorry, Sylvie, that one was too easy. You kind of let that door open, and I just kicked it off. Yeah,
can't let that go. All right, guys, we'll probably put a pin in there now. We've done 3.5 hours.
This is how cool our audience is.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone joins in on it, and that's it's kind of why I think it's so great about this show is everyone. It really is like a community. Everyone's just here shooting the shit together. If you came here for the throne speech, there really wasn't a whole lot there. In fact, the second half of the show was definitely a lot more fun, I think. It didn't even give us really a whole lot of material to make fun of, but that is, you can go back and watch the beginning of the show if you're interested in that. We do some analysis of it, but there wasn't a whole lot to analyze. It was just a lot of slogans and nonsense.
2030 agenda. That's all I got from it.
Nonsense fluff. Yeah, he said he did mention something about that, but even that there wasn't a whole lot to it. But it's at the beginning of the show if you want to check it out. But again, lots of interaction, lots of fun here, guys. We appreciate you having here. If you are new and you like what you hear and you want to stick around, please do so. If you do want to support us, the best way you can do that is become a member through YouTube. That will give you priority comments here. And of course, even if you're not a member, we're still going to take comments, especially if they're good ones. But you will get priority comments. We'll always take yours first if you're members. You will also have access to the Discord server where we continue this conversation 24/7. And in fact, a lot of our content comes from that server. If you watch the show enough, you'll see a lot of times people just comment on it and we're like, oh shit, yeah, let's talk about that. So it's a way for the audience to really be involved in the show in a way that I don't really see in a whole lot of other shows. So hopefully you liked what you heard.
Special.
Yeah, we're special. Remember to join the conversation live Monday to Friday at noon Eastern, as Prairie says. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's a community, right? Prairie reminding me what I need to do for if I forget something, I always know someone's gonna have my back here, and that's what's great about this show. Guys, you could have been anywhere in the world today, and you chose to be here with us, and we'll always appreciate that. Hopefully, you guys have a great night. Be safe, and we will check you tomorrow. Thank you, Sylvie, for tuning in.